No, you know what though? It wasn't that I said like, it wasn't that I was confused or questioning. I didn't ask if this is real or what's going on. I really was more like just feeling like what is going on. And it wasn't that I said like, well, is there something I should know? What I actually said, and thinking back, I have to admit, I remember the exact feeling, the exact phrase I said. I said, I'm ready. I said, I'm ready. And I didn't even say it as much as it was a feeling that I didn't second guess, that I didn't think twice about. Because you have that feeling. But that's your prerogative. That's like your sacred sanctuary sort of safe state, safe sort of like, you know, level of inertia, of like initiative basically. Because you got intuition and you have initiative. And it's kind of like when you tie together with your impulse and instinct, right? Like your intuition's like your instinct, while your initiative's like your impulse. Your impulse and your instinct related, however, they're their own thing in themselves. Would you have one without the other? Well, I mean, which is first and afterwards? Well, I mean, that's all relative, and that all fluctuates. You know? Instinct, impulse, initiative, and intuition. Intuition being kind of like your instinct, and your initiative being more like your impulse, right? So I had the impulse where my intuition connected and crossed. My instinct and my impulse crossed, as it does at times. And that is your purest God self sort of actualization, awakening, I guess you could say, like, I don't want to say frequency, but it's more of like a calibration, of the heart and the mind, thoughts and emotions, where your instinct and your impulse and your intuition and your initiative join, basically. They fuse. And in this moment, it was a very massively, magnanimously, it was a very, had a lot of magnitude. It was more on the line just than what affected, as well as what, make a difference in my direct immediate life. You know what I mean? Because you can always make up for whatever mistakes you make. You can always, not make up, but you can always adjust. You can always adapt. You can always acclimate your actualization. You actualize and you acclimate and you acclimate and you actualize. But when it comes to family, when you become an adult, when you create, that's what the next step after being created is. You create, yes, and as you create, your production expands. And that means more than just what makes a difference to you. It ends up meaning more in many ways, in more ways than not. And with that on my heart, the closest, because even if you care, or even if it affects you, if it's something I did, then, you know what I mean? I'll answer for it, because you could change your mind, you know what I mean? Or you can do some shit that I wouldn't do, and then I gotta deal with that. And it's like, I can only give myself so much to that, so far to that. I can only allow myself to even involve myself to a particular degree when it comes to that. However, when something is close to you, like, you can't change how much or how special it is. You can't even change how special it is. It's more special than special. Like, you know what I mean? And that's love, man. Real love, like, you know what I mean? And that's what's beautiful about life and living, society and community and family. You know, in reality, man, is love, man. I'm not talking about affection. I'm not talking about pleasure. I'm not talking about admiration, bro. I'm talking about what can't even be described, bro. You know, it's like, it's, you know what I mean? I'm thinking about all of this, you know, I'm formulating these understandings and, apprehensions and comprehensions in regards to just, you know, this life developments and, you feel me? Just the unraveling of reality within this experience, you know, seeing it through, owning up for whatever decisions and choices I'm making. Like, you know, we like to try to do shit in secret so we can, you know what I mean, limit what we actually are honest about, what we actually have to even not be honest about, you know? Some people you talk to, they don't know how to not lie to you. They don't even know how not to lie. It's like they justify lying because it's like, if they tell the truth and then you use the truth against them, then they're going to feel stupider or they're going to feel dumb. They're going to feel worse. And then, you know, we surrounded by liars. So it's like, they probably going to take advantage of, but you can't, that's why you got to not to allow yourself to give yourself to a particular degree. You got to be able to operate within your own realm and be your own best company, man. You know, if you don't rock with yourself, if you don't fuck with yourself to the fullest, then you should expect, or you should probably realize you would have to admit that anyone else is only fucking with you to a particular degree, to a particular objective. If you don't even fuck with yourself like that. And I'm not talking about like thinking so much of yourself, but actually like, you know what I mean? Like, if you was on earth by yourself, what would you do? Do you know what you would do if it was just you? Me, I already know. I'll be painting, I'll be drawing, I'll be exercising, I'll be reading, I'll be writing, I'll be thinking, I'll be swimming, I'll be fucking dancing. You know what I mean? I would be thinking. Absolutely thinking. And there's no limit to that. Thought is magical, you know? Like, if we didn't have anything to divert us, to derail us off of a particular train of thought, it can not only go anywhere but everywhere. You know what I mean? And that's the whole, that's the whole sort of, like, that's the whole, like, thing. That's the whole thing. It's like, when you talk about a thought, it's like, it's no limit to where it can go. That means it grows, but not just larger, but like more involved. It just basically includes differences. You know what I mean? It's not about more or less. It's just different, and more different, and another type of different. The more time you spend developing it, that's the point. And it's, you know what I mean? And it's not even about time, because the more you develop, you gain time. It's like the time you invest is the time you make. You know, but you gotta have the time to give in order to get the time out of it. You know what I mean? However, you get to that midpoint where it fuses, because you start from two, you know, the extremes, but as you know what I mean, as you advance, as you continue, now you're shrinking time. Now, you know what I mean? The closer you get to the center point, it's like a black hole, you feel me? It's like a black hole. The closer you get to a black hole, time is slowing down to the point where you get to the event horizon right at the edge before it starts to pull you in. all time stops. And at the point when you cross the event horizon, you're now moving past the center towards the other extreme side, right? Starting from intuition, going into initiative, or starting with an initiative, going into intuition. You know, and from whatever side you start off first, it's always an element of either in each of them, because really they're the same thing. It's just, you know, different degrees, different polar range aspects of the same idea, or the same sort of thing. So, what I said to myself, what I felt in my heart while I was just thinking, because you can think all day, but it's like, but if you're not like clearing your mind first of all in the thoughts you're having, then you kind of like, you know what I mean? You're burying your soul, your heart, which your mind is your soul. You're burying your soul in these thoughts and these that you're not really clearing. That's what you're supposed to be doing as you're thinking. You're not, you know, it's not about a compiling of brain noise. It's about like a clearing, like a permeating sort of evaporation. However, as the mist clears, as the fog mystifies into a nice little hazy sort of mist, sort of like, you know, steam into crisp, clean oxygen, then the sun can reach. Okay, the light can reach, and now you're open to being receptive to that light because the fog is cleared. You know, it starts off as thick, fucking smudgy smoke. Yeah, it can even be like a sludge, a sludge gooky sort of goop, you know, that then liquefies and then starts to boil with friction of thoughts, and then can you know, lower in this level until it steams all the way into a fog or smoke. The smoke can come off the goop as you boiling it. Yeah, but you gotta keep that heat on there, you know, and the heat fluctuates. You gotta have gas for that heat, yeah. Unless you're using wood fire, and then even then you still need wood or coal or some type of substance to give you that heat. You know, some type of contraption, an arrangement that's gonna keep that, whatever it is, getting hotter so it can burn away the dross off of the gold, okay? Because we're speaking about soul alchemy, basically. You know, the transmutation is what we're doing. Is we're transposing whatever energies, whatever sorts of congestion, basically, can then unthicken, liquefy, and eventually vaporize. You know what I mean? Me, I'm crispy, buddy. Okay? I stay crispy, my G. You know what I'm saying? My shit is open. You know, my shit is not vacant, but it is spacious. You understand me? Okay, so we talking, you know what I mean? We talking about, you got estates, and then you got you got headquarters. What do you call it? You got headquarters. You got you know what I'm talking about. You got premises and you got a stand. Yeah, anyway. Headquarters. You got parameters and you got premises and all this extra shit. Yeah. Headquarters. Anyway, what I was saying was something else. Headquarters. I'm kind of not in the mood to be talking about what I'm talking about. Headquarters. But I did remember that it wasn't that I was wondering even so much. It wasn't that I was wondering. I was necessarily deciding, you know, ready to do everything and anything and whatever it meant to do. Because I was tired of, not necessarily tired, but I was not satisfied with anything not being close to how I would prefer for it to be, because I'm about my life, you know what I mean? I'm serious about mine. I'm not playing about mine. So it's like, you just gotta figure this out. When it comes to me, like I said, it's just about a matter of figuring it out. You know, the hardest part is figuring out what to do. As far as how to do it, only comes once you can be clear and certain as to what to do. But it's simple in that. That's all it takes. Because once you do figure that out, then that makes it just that much more possible. It makes success just that much more purposed, much more promised to you. And that's something you gotta believe in. You gotta trust the truth, man. Yeah? The very reality of life is that Allah wants you to be happy. You know, and if you can get to a point where you can solicit that, because a lot of us are fucking bombs blowing up. We can't even go nowhere till we can say, okay, well, let me pray for favor now. It's like, yo, I gotta run right now. I'm under fire right now, yo. And tomorrow, I gotta go see if my cousin is still alive so that we can hide. Yo. This is going on in some places that still believe in God, yo. You know, you get to Tinseltown, you get over here to you know, suburbia. God? Well, what you mean? What you mean? Oh, you mean a CEO? Oh, what you mean? Oh, you talking about the slumlord? Oh, you talking about? You talking about my drug dealer? Oh, okay. That's God. You know? Shit, I got all the time in the world to focus on favor. But I don't need no favors. You know what I'm saying? I don't need no favors. You know what I mean? I work for my drugs. But yeah, I said, I'm ready, man. I'm ready for real life. I'm ready, man. I'm ready for real life. I'm ready for whatever it takes to really actually be moving in real life. Like, not that I don't be moving in real life, but it was always like I was young still. I was still listening to my parents. My mom told me from the beginning that there's no limits, you know. However, she also encouraged me to go and explore my interests. You know, like, she never put a lot of pressure on me to try to make no sort of serious decisions for even as far as college, as far as a career to pursue. At one point, I know that I had wanted to be an architect, but I never even really necessarily said that to my mom. And she never really even asked me about that. You know, she just said, make sure you use a condom. And don't share. And another thing that my mom told me is, don't tell me, show me. You know, that's all my mom said to me. You know what I mean? And the block kind of you know what I mean? Just kind of embraced me, just kind of nurtured me. You know what I mean? Encapsulated, just kind of you feel me? You feel me? I was like a jewel in the city, because a nigga like me was just always on some next, some next shit, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just, that's that Los Angeles shit, you know what I mean? We have it so good up there, for real. We take a lot of stuff for granted, and it's you know, it's open, free range, and that's a great thing. But as far as when I start to get older, then it's responsibilities. You just kind of, you know, multiply your responsibilities. You multiply because you're doing more, and it's it's more that you're answering for, and it's more that you're capable of, because you have a little bit more experience, you have a little bit more invested, you have a lot more energy invested. Everything you do is connected to everything you've done. Okay, so it's if you don't have no expectations, if you don't have no you know what I mean, super strict sort of confinements or you know what I mean, conditions outside of don't be whack. Don't be a buster, you know? Then you know, it's like you kind of get you kind of can get you get exposed to a good range of, I guess you could say, just a versatile reference, you know, reference point. I don't know what it is about me. It's like, and it's not even the environment I was in so much. Oh, another thing too, like I went to a school where it was like, I wasn't learning like this indoctrinated sort of like, you know what I mean, fabricated curriculum. You know what I mean? Like I was studying calculus at age 6. You know, so, you know what I mean? I was memorizing Nikki Giovanni and Booker T. Washington and Frederick Douglass speeches, nigga, at age 8, nigga. You know what I mean? On stage, nigga, performing them, bro. By heart, nigga, as a baby. So it was like, that was my onset. That was, you know what I mean? That was my inception into my community, into my surrounding sort of just like, you know, culture. You dig? So it was like, I just kind of looked at things kind of different as far as like, okay, that's fine and done, but it's not the whole world. It doesn't mean the world. Like there's a whole world that already has a meaning. Like nothing could mean the world to me other than my lady, So it was like, because I understood there was a world that already had its own meaning. And that's important to be able to, you know what I mean? Like, and I think it's more different now. I think it's different now, you know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing that nobody, you know what I mean? Like, you got to kind of protect that when you have that bond between you and your lover. That's something that's like up to you to sanctify, basically. And everything else is already like got its own sort of life, but that's the gift that God gave us, is someone else, your counterpart, your opposite, your contrast, your complement. You know, your compliments. And that's just something that's always going to be marvelous to me. That's always going to be a source of wonder, a source of astoundment, a source of inspiration, a source of inspiration. You know what I mean? You know, intrigue, bedazzlement, source of just, you know what I mean? Just enrichment. And as you get older, like, and that's what I'm saying, like, I was younger, you feel me? I was always around girls, not always around girls, but like, you know, nigga, I'm a Mac, basically. I'm literally a Mac, like my name is Wani Mac. Not just Dewan or Don Juan DeMarco, the fucking Casanova. But Wani Mac is who I am, and always have been before I was anybody. Before I even called myself my actual name, my name was Wani Mac. You understand? So, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? My mom was just crazy like that. You know what I mean? She didn't want to deal with no off-brands niggas, no poop bus shit. So that's why we was away from cuz, you know what I mean? Dusty cuz. So it was like, I didn't have to think about none of that, nigga. We out here getting how we live, bro. You know what I mean? Like, and I always had some type of flirting to do, bro. Flirting with danger, flirting with damsels, flirting with destiny. And when it comes to getting older, it gets real fast. And a lot of us really kind of get really like, you know what I mean, blindsided. Me, I'm not afraid of getting blindsided because honestly, I'm a chameleon. So it's like, my eyes are already on the side of my head anyway, but they rotate 360 degrees. So I could be looking completely the other polar direction while my eye on the other side of my head is turned and twisted and rotated the exact opposite direction, my nigga. You feel me? Because your eyes can only spread so far apart, and you only are able to focus on so much. So many particular sequence sections of this big picture, and you only on one side of my head, my G. You understand? And what you looking at is only my fucking shell, my nigga, for one. So you think you looking at my eyes, that's really my tail. You know, and by the time you realize it, I done painted this fucking fucking scene, set a landscape backdrop for you to been looking at, and I done been around the world and came back, and you still looking at the same shit thinking I was there. Yeah, but I'm circulating. You know? Anyway, as you get older, man, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta make sure of shit the way you know to make sure of shit. And it starts with what you can deal with. But that's not where it stops. And the more conscious energy you put into it, then the more involved your comprehension becomes, and you're able to comprehend whatever other aspects of related and unrelated new experiences. And what's crazy, like, motherfuckers try to act like, you know, if you ain't did this and that, then you obviously don't know about this or that. When like, that's for me to share with her. Okay? And share with another her in a different special type way between us. Every time, bro. You know what I mean? I'm gonna let you know right now, like, if I was to think about it, I'm not sitting around thinking about it. I ain't trying to sit around and show nobody about what I know how to do, yo. First of all, I like to, you know what I mean? I like to pleasantly surprise someone who already trusts and believes in me. You know what I mean? Who know my capacity to wow them, bro. I wow motherfuckers who expect for me to wow them, bro. I memorized Langston Hughes as a baby. Fucking performing it on stage across the city, homie. And I'm not trying to, I don't need no kudos. I'm not acting like I'm the illest nigga. I'm just saying, like, I'm gonna do something that I'm gonna do. I'm not, you know what I mean? It's gonna be some shit that you gonna know me for. And people know that, and they try to make it to where niggas know me for some shit I done did that I wouldn't even had done. But even that don't work, because why? Because I'm a chameleon, is why. You understand me? So, even if you know me for doing some shit, you still gonna know that if it was really me or not. You know, I'm not afraid to do anything. You know, I'm not afraid to do anything. You know what I mean? At the same time, you can only do something the first time once, and something last time once. I mean, so, yeah, I'm gonna tell you once. You feel me? Every time. I'm gonna tell you once every time. You might try to do something different, and I'm gonna tell you then too. But I'm gonna remember I told you. Next time you try to do the same shit, I'm gonna be chilling. I want to be chilling the whole time, but then people try to use that against you. You know, and try to use that to justify shit that you didn't even realize, that you might not even realize is related, that shouldn't even be related to your interaction, wouldn't be but they're using that involvement, that vast range of potential involvement incorrectly and improperly. So it's like, it's all twisted inside out, and it's like they want to try to use you to hurt other people, or to, even justify hurting themselves so they can blame you, because that's really the whole thing. There's nobody to blame you. All of this is God's plan. So it's like, if you don't blame anybody, you might as well be thanking God. At the same time, like, you know what I mean? If anything, if you can thank God for anything, and then you can't blame him for nothing. If you ain't gonna blame God, then how you look blaming anyone else when God made them? I said, if you can thank God for anything, I'm gonna say this again, yo. If you can thank your Creator for anything, then how do you look blaming God for anything? And if you not gonna blame God, let alone thank God, then how do you look blaming anyone else for anything that they might, no matter how fucked up it is? Especially God himself tell us to forgive, for one, and not to judge. So you shouldn't be judging, you should be forgiving, and to remain grateful also as well, and humble. Right? It's not a hard thing to do. It's just that, you gotta keep everything in perspective, really, honestly. You didn't got all the way out of whack. You're getting too far ahead of yourself. Overdoing it over here. Right? If you can thank God for anything, how you look like blaming him for anything? And if you're not gonna blame God, then what you look like blaming anybody when God made them and made it possible for them to do anything that you would blame them for. I can see, okay, you ain't gonna fuck with them, right? You gonna stay up out their way, right? But that's as far as this shit fucking go, my G. Otherwise, you asking for issues. You asking for issues. You asking for somebody to come show you, to come tell you, which other people gonna see that, and you involving other people now with your bullshit. But since you have the wrong idea, or you have this mixed up idea of what purpose is and destiny, you feel like it's okay, or you got time to do retarded ass weird shit. When every moment invested now is expanded in a proper direction, right? But the opposite, the reverse of that, is detrimental. You know what I mean? And to more than just yourself is the part. And see, what's beautiful is when you can actually go through yourself, then it then I guess you could say blesses it. It then extends to every and anything unlimitedly in the most positive and beneficial ways. You know what I mean? Without doubt, without fail. So it's like, it's worth it. It's worth just kind of like asking yourself whatever questions. And if there's a question that you feel like you can't answer why you can't answer it first. If you can't answer a question, you have to ask yourself, well, why can't I answer this question and answer that? You know, and if you can't answer that question, then you know what you need to be able to answer. Even if you can't answer it now, doesn't mean that you won't be able to answer it at another time, or it won't take something for you to be able to answer it. You ask yourself what you need to ask yourself. And if you can't answer that question, then answer why you cannot answer that question. Okay? Ask yourself why you can't answer the question of what is it that you need to do? What can you do? Right? And if you can't answer that, you need to ask yourself why you can't answer that, or why you can't figure out an answer. Right? And if you can't answer the question as to why you can't answer the question as to what is your destiny, what is your purpose, then you have to ask yourself, how would you be able to answer the question as to why you can't answer the question as to what your purpose is? I'm not going to tell you. First of all, I ain't going to just reveal to you what my purpose is. Nigga, that's foolish. That's careless right there. Right? But I will admit to you that I only have an idea of what it probably involves. But that's more than enough to start and to finish and to fulfill. Nigga, my attention, my intuition as well as instinct, my initiative as well as impulse, man. And that's just what I'm telling you. Okay. I said to myself, though, one day, I'm ready. I don't give a fuck if I know or not. I'm ready for whatever it is. It's called actualization in reference to fucking acclimation. Okay? A lot of us are adaptive. When we should be reactive. And not even just reactive, but proactive. That means, of course, as I mentioned, manifesting through cultivation into materialization. That means manifesting through cultivation into materialization. Okay? That is the reference acclimation. Or that is the reference actualization in reference to acclimation. Okay? Now, once you manifest, because you have to intuit in order to manifest. Intuiting is manifesting in itself. Okay? Manifestation starts with the seed and blossoms once it sprouts and grows healthily. You gotta have seasons for that. You gotta have climate for that. And you gotta have environment for that. Right? Okay? You can plant an orange seed in an apple grove. But what time of the year are you going to plant that? You know what I'm saying? And it's still not in its best, in its most ideal habitat, surrounded by apple trees. These are likened to our ideas, to our intuitions, our inspirations, our will. What our will is connected to is directed by, which is our desire. Okay? But in turn, it's a cycle in that our will acclimates our desire. Our desire actualizes our will. No, our will actualizes our desire. No, our will actualizes our desire. Why? Our desire acclimates our will. And vice versa. And vice versa. I mean, like, based on what you do, based on what you want to do, it changes what you then want to do. Because a lot of people, they stop wanting to do something after they not did it or did it already. For the most part, doing something is either going to make you want to do it more or less. Right? Now, if you want to do it more after doing it, you're going to have to be able to do it more in order to feel the same about wanting to do it more or not. Yes? So say, for instance, you do something you've never done before and you like it. And you want to do more of it. And you can do more of it. And you do more of it. eventually you will want to either stop, or you will either have had enough of it, or you will want all of it. and your understanding, as well as your acclimation to it and actualization of it, will expand and evolve to where it now manifests through cultivation into a materialization beyond what you initially intuited, what you initially envisioned. You know what I mean? And that's where imagination coming in. You know, you start. It's like a step. You know, like your imagination. All of your imagination is only one step, right? So you have to stretch the bounds of your imagination. It's best to explore and embrace, as well as absorb and exercise the corners and structure of your imagination, so as to, of course, step as fully as possible, because all of your one imagination is merely one step, right? So we can step once, but we want to walk. And you got to do what before you walk? You got to crawl before you walk. Yes? But before you can even walk, you must step. But you must crawl before you can step. Yes? You take one step and you make another step. And using the exceptional baby. Okay? A lot of us run. We got to get a nice momentum. And that's what that intuition is, the momentum. You know, that's what intuition is, the momentum, right? But not all babies run first. A lot of them step and they fall. Because of course they get to thinking too much. You know what I mean? They're a certain type of person, and there's nothing wrong with it. They just want to be sure. They just, you know, they want to know what it is not to do it as well. You know what I mean? But it all really depends, you know? I mean, it just really shapes how you are. You know what I mean? And how you will be with all of your actualization and acclimation. See, that first run or drop is the acclimation to your actualization, you understand? Yes? From crawling to stepping to walking, or from crawling to running. Because a lot of kids, as soon as they get on their feet, they run. They run. And don't nothing stop them and they don't even drop. They run until somebody's arms. Or off a fucking balcony or some shit. You know what I mean? They gonna eventually drop, but maybe not. A lot of us have adrenaline like that. A lot of us have enough I don't want to say desire, but just fire in us. A lot of us have that go. We just got that go to where it's like once we in our zone and we activate it, it's nothing that's going to even, we just keep on just, you know, actualizing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ever like do something and then you just did it until something else stopped you, as opposed to you stopping doing it? Like, for instance, a lot of times, I remember one time, the first time I ever was doing graphic design with my pops, right? He didn't really realize that I was ill as I am with the graphic design. And once he did realize, like, he had all of this shit for me to finish. And maybe he was trying to, like, burn me out and try to discourage me, because, you know, I ended up realizing my pops was really jealous of me. A lot of times with him, a lot of things I did. Like, I remember we took this picture with Felly Fell at this one block party one time. And this would really cut me, like, about the envy and jealousy in Cuz' heart. Like, I had not done nothing to Cuz. Like, I didn't offend him. I wasn't not offensive. I didn't, you know what I mean? I wasn't a bad son or nothing. Like, I was actually like an evangelizer, nigga. I didn't even have no idea about it I know I feel fucking stupid saying that, to have that shit be going on right up under my nose. And that's what really kind of like had me really like standoffish with anybody. Not like I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, I got trust issues because I don't give a fuck. Like, you know what I mean? If you burn me, you burn me. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You don't want to fight. You feel me? That's the only way you're going to get to me, so I ain't mad. You know what I mean? Like, at the same time, I don't judge people. I'm not going to judge you for doing whatever it is you feel like you need to do. And that's the whole point. You got to do what you feel like you need to do in order to see whether or not you want to keep doing it. And if you do something to me and you see that I can forget it and forgive it and overlook it and still accept you and treat you the same as I would have if I had never known you did it, then you have a choice and a chance to just do something completely different, at least to see how it would feel or to see where you could take it if you did something different. Yes, of course, you will have already stopped in mid-run. In other words, you have already done something you shouldn't have not done before you could have done something that would have been better to do, which would not burn me. You feel me? Treat me like I'm treating you, because I know I haven't burnt you, because I'm not finna burn you. You know what I mean? Not because I'm scared of you, not because I'm scared of sinning, not because I'm oblivious or you know, or naive, like I'm not cunning or coy or clever enough or witty enough. I will beat the fuck out of you is all it is. You feel me? If I got an issue with you, I'll sock your fucking faggot ass out. You know what I mean? So I don't need to like sneak around what I would do. You feel me? I'm focused on what it is, my best contribution to the universe. You know what I'm saying? Because energy is eternal. And it's nothing personal. And I'm not offended or whatever by nobody. However, just create. Just create. Otherwise, you're destroying. Right? That's the balance. That's the energies of life, creating and destroying. Those are the two polars. You feel me? You can meet in the middle to where you are not stepping on no toes, and that's where that's called purpose right there. Okay? That's called walking in your divine purpose. And my purpose is not to burn you. So that's why I wouldn't burn you. Like, I mean, if that end up happening, it wasn't intentional, you know, and don't get me wrong, I can connive. I know how to be conniving, not conniving, but I know I'm a con artist. You know what I mean? It's not that I'm a conniving person. However, it's like there's systems and levels and layers to, you know what I mean, where you find yourself and put yourself in life. So I understand it, and a lot of people do it because they don't realize that it's worth the energy of investing, worth the energy of directing in a more purposeful direction or exchange, a more enriching as well as integral and honorable format and forum, you know what I mean? Because it's like, you know, they surrounded by fucking hyenas, and, you know what I'm saying? Crabs, like it's crab in a bucket syndrome. You know, I'm from the hood. You know what I mean? I happen to be an African American individual, so it's like I know firsthand about the crab in the bucket syndrome. You know, the point is basically about running, walking, crawling, stepping. All right, and flying. We ain't talk about none of that because really you ain't got to take a step, to be honest. You know what I mean? You might end up fucking levitating before you even worried about your body. You know what I'm saying? You never know. At the same time, I promise you, everything is possible. And we're speaking about the imagination, likening the mind to your legs, to your exploration, to your adventure, basically. Because to have an adventure, you got to do what? You got to move. And if you're not moving your body, your mind is absolutely moving on that adventure, yes? So we're talking about adventure and being adventurous and the sense and spirit of adventure in itself, which involves what? Discovery, okay? Yes, of course, which is actualization, discovery, adventurous discovery. And so, say, for instance, you do something and you like it and you want to do it more because whatever reason, that desire will either change or grow. Growth is change. It's going to stop or it's going to increase. It's going to decrease or increase. Okay, and that's either way, it's still growth. It's change. Because change is growth. And growth is change. Growth is change. You know what I'm saying? So, increasing and decreasing is change. And that it is growth. Where you end up after time is where you have grown to. Even if you have decreased in value or increased in value, or, if you have added or subtracted or whatever, you know what I mean? You've expanded or contracted in whatever respects. You still have grown. You've grown less. You've grown smaller. You've grown weaker. Right? When strength in itself is an increase, and so it is a growth in a sense of strength to get strong and stronger. However, to become weaker, you are also growing in weakness. Because, of course, you've had a chance to do the same or a different thing. But if you never do what it is that you would have done, then you're not growing. You're not even increasing or decreasing. You're really just in a spinning cycle, spiraling fucking loop of static stagnation, basically. Okay? When you got to, like I said, stretch the zones to the zones so that your zones can stretch within your imagination, which is what you see as possible, what you see as interesting, based on what you've already experienced, been exposed to, and how closely you identify with your intuition. Now, there's different factors that may lead to the circumstances surrounding your status with the closeness and nearness, acquaintance of your own intuition or another intuition, or a systemized consensus as opposed to a conscious, collective, quantified instinct. You know what I'm saying? Because you got the world instinct, right? Like, we move as a unit because all of our minds are connected. And that's why it's important for your steps to be as steady and sure and driven and actualized as you are given the opportunity for them to be. Or you make the opportunity, you take the opportunity, you find the opportunity for them to be. You seek the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Opportunity come knocking, but the door is on a chariot. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't sitting at the house and the opportunity knock on your door. Nigga, you in an RV, you feel me? And an opportunity got to roll up on you and match your speed in order to even be able to reach your door, let alone stay steady enough with you for opportunity not to fall out of its transportation so as to knock on your door. Okay? And if you busy driving and you ain't got no chauffeur, then who gonna open the door? And where you going and where's opportunity going? Are y'all headed the same place? Then what the fuck is it knocking on your door for? Do it got some weed to deliver to you? Is it gonna sit inside of your chariot or your RV while your wheel is driving your vehicle and smoke some tree with you? That's what I would expect, as well as I'm acclimated to opportunity showing up doing with me, bitch boy. A lot of times, it's opportunity that's driving for me. My wheel is sitting there smoking weed with me. and we get, you know what I'm saying? We get so zooted and so stoned that we'll fuck around and throw the fucking vehicle, the spaceship. I ain't in no chariot. You might be in a chariot, nigga. You might be in a motherfucking, you know what I'm saying? Whatever the fuck you in, a limo, whatever, where it's knocking on your door. I'm in a spaceship, nigga. When opportunity arrives with the next batch of grams, then a lot of times, I think opportunity is already driving. With me, my will, and opportunity already in the spaceship, we got tree already, cuz. If I hear knocking, it's probably in my mind. I'm the one knocking, cuz. When we roll up in the spaceship, I might knock. But that's if we make it there, because a lot of times we put the spaceship on autopilot so that we can all hit the tree comfortably. And if we make it, we make it. Fuck it. Just like when you run first, cuz if you make it, you make it. But we ain't falling. I'm staying on my toes. I've been waiting months to hop on these toes. People walk around me like they got big, long legs. I got legs too, and toes, and feet, and knees. And I'm about to bend these knees, and I'm bouncing, and I'm jumping at them as I'm running for the first time. You understand me? My mama said I ran first. Fuck a step. I didn't even crawl. I never crawled, nigga. I ain't never crawled, homie. I hopped out running, homie. On the hood. You know what I mean? There's different type of niggas out here, girl. A lot of people waste time trying to see what's safe. Yeah, but you can't see what's safe unless you see what's unsafe first, girl. You crawling where? Where somebody done told your motherfucking ass to crawl is where you crawling. Nigga like me hopping out the crib, homie. On my feet, landing on my feet, running. Fuck a crawling step, nigga. Step by step. Nigga, what is nigga? I'm about to boot the spaceship up. Which is likened to the imagination, which you must stretch the realms of so as to, of course, run in this marathon with the rest of the crowd. Because your one imagination is nothing but a step in the marathon. But we running. And not only running, we winning. Call and response Q&A. Question and answer. New dimension. Essential aspects of life. Health, action, art, family, culture, heritage, breathing, diet, exercise, rhythm, motion. This is what scientists will consider a paradigm shift, the tipping point. We are on a sojourn, at the onset, the plummet, the zenith, horizon, meridian, on the outskirts of the very ridge, of the ledge, of the edge, faced with the arrival of evolution, forced and faced in human consciousness, an arrival of evolution, human consciousness, a reconstruction of awareness, the divine designation of this new dimension, a next dimension, another level of seeing, another level of being, thinking, living, the enhancing advancement of reality. Most probably believe in the possibility of many realities. Several conclusions. The applicability of the general individual may argue that reality is relative. That there very well exists everyone with their own truths. Zen enthusiasts might insist in the principle of a one universally natural and exclusively supreme and supremely absolute and absolutely truths. What are the others saying? That another ain't? How do these two relate? And where originates the dichotomy, bridging the debate. Today we explore. Life we explore. Evaluate. Examine. Investigate life as we know it. Life as a whole. Life as a whole. Yeah, so we know where we was at, because apparently that's a problem. So that's why you gotta have this tape recorder. That's why you gotta have a voice memo. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? Recorder right next to you to capture your melodies, man. I just had a melody. I know I forgot it, but I can't say that out loud or even say that to myself, because it's gonna make me, you know what I mean? Because your brain got ears. You feel me? Your brain got ears. You got ears, and then you listen to what you're hearing, but then also your thoughts. You know what I mean? Even your subconscious thoughts. Your brain believes or follows its directions. You know what I mean? It's systemizing. It's programming. It follows even what you don't realize you're thinking about. But you can influence what it is that you are subconsciously. I.e. or quote unquote unconsciously thinking about. Your immediate conscience, or the front of your mind is in the back of your mind. You could even say the bottom of your mind or the bottom of your spine. And that's what I mean when I say you can influence your subconscious thinking. It's through your body. For starters, at the root of your spine, literally, by centering yourself. Your needs, your needs. When your regular needs are met, then you can move into optimum performance, optimum existence. However, no human is even at base level right now, yo. Right? Because there's threat of war. There's, you know what I mean? We're not even, you know what I mean? It's like there's still threat of war. So that's an issue, right? What else do you need? You need peace of mind to begin. That's not a want. Even though it is a want also, but it's necessary for you to be able to center yourself. Have a balanced mentality, right? And as far as like having peace of mind, you got to go with what you can go with. And even the sense of balance in itself is evident, or, you know, it's reassuring that it doesn't have to be completely whole in order to work with it. However, that's just like half of half, because it's like, that's just the bottom, right? To get to the middle part, which would be past your wants into your desires, to your, you know, intentions, right? Because you got your desires, and that moves into your action from that, you know? It starts with what you see as possible, or what you want, but it's not only one thing that you want, you know? There's an overall want, an overall goal, and then there's these different supplementary, you know what I mean? Complementary sort of, you know what I mean? Structured sort of additionally related goals to the overall, because of course overall is universally including whatever else you would want, I would suppose, because of course whatever's possible is included in whatever is able to exist, yes? So it's like, for example, your overall goal is success, yes? But another goal could be something not so vast or broad. I would say happiness, but that's really probably on the same line of success, and it's not even the same thing, right? So overall goal is success, right? But that's very general. So it's like specifying it, breaking it down, defining it. Is you can then, you know, sort of apply it to different areas of what that means. But also, there's these other goals that you have that are not even necessarily so related, but it's not necessarily unrelated to success, right? Like you got your main goal. You know, if anything, if I had to pick one out of all the ones that I would be able to achieve, could be likened to your main goal or your overall goal. What you would be the most satisfied, not realizing, basically. You know, over whatever else you could think of that you would want also, or that you do desire within yourself, that you can't deny that you desire until that changes for whatever reason, right? Because sometimes we want things, but we don't even want what we want. You feel me? Like we be having it, and it's like those be the ones, those be usually the ones that become the needs. Because we can't help but want it, even if we wanted to want it or not. You know, we just do. We can't help it. And those be a lot of times twisted, right? Twisted in that they become needs from wants, as opposed to would be the better sequence, or the more organic order for of course the needs, these essential necessities, these healthy priorities, or rather necessary aspects and elements, to become the wants into the intentions, right? Because you can't change we can't change what we need, but what we need is healthy for us, is what we need, right? As opposed to something we want now becoming so overbearingly extreme that we'll even forfeit or sacrifice what we need for what we want. Shit, I mean, you gotta see through it. You gotta see that through in order to figure out what it is and make you not want something that you do that you can't help but want. You know? But that's a whole nother story as far as your major wants and your main overall goals, or, you know, pursuits, interests. That could be a subsidiary goal. You could be, you know what I mean? You could be modest enough. You could be desperate enough, basically, to say, you know what? I'll be fine, man. If don't nothing else happen in my life, nigga, if I could get $20 today, I'll be good, you know? But then it's like, you probably don't mean that, because of course you probably gonna reach $20 before anything else would not happen. That's outside of that $20, that would be a little bit more universally broad than just something so immediate. You hear me? But you never know, man. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? A lot of times we having short sight. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. You know, it's like, what is your overall goal? You know, is it based on if you can make it to a immediate goal first? Because, like I said, it's all related anyway. It's connected to each other. So when it comes to, as far as your desires, and that being connected to your core strength and survival, just before you get to your, clairvoyance and intuition and manifestation area, right? Because that's what we're talking about, manifestation. Manifesting your desires into reality, and materializing it. Right? Now, that involves what you see as possible, what you believe to be appropriate, available, and what you will be satisfied with, basically, too. You know what I mean? Like, you could tell yourself you want this, but if you'll take something less than that, then it's going to be just that much more out of your reach. Yeah, that's usually the case. Not always, though. But for an example, say you want success, yes, but you also want, or not necessarily that you would take over success or instead of success, but you also know that it's a preference of yours to travel. Right now, traveling is not contingent upon success. Being successful can bring traveling more into range for you. Right? So that's just an example of what I mean. But say, for instance, to travel matters more to you than success does. Then you may very well reach traveling without the success. It's just all in how you approach it and how you see it, and all that, and that centering that you do. I'm on this topic because, it's really, like I mentioned to you, and as I was wanting to bring out, and what brought me to this thought is I was reading something on this marketplace, and it said something about sympathy for the devils. And it's like, you see where people are just being like ultra like condescending, just ultra like, just like insulting, really. Condescending is a word, but it's kind of like, they are being sadistic, really. Sadistic humor, like. And that's fun when it's in its sort of artful context. But when it's spinned like, oh, it's sexy, it's you that make it sexy. It's not. It's just sexy in itself. And it's only sexy when it can be not so serious. Like, niggas be taking shit serious, but then acting like, try to be humoristic about it. Like, you feel me? Like, niggas be having ways that they really feel, trying to act like they feel a way, but it's like you only feel a way for so long until your feeling change anyway. Like, is the part I'm saying to you. Like, if you're doing, but if you're sitting around not doing what you would do, feeling like you wish you could, or you would if you could, like, why would you if you're not? Answer that question and change it first. And of course, you're going to run into situations where you find where outside factors, other than what you've actualized, will start to acclimate or influence, or rather stimulate your acclimation to the actualization process, because it's all a process, and you're not alone. And that's the step into the running in the marathon, right? So a lot of us, as I was going to say, as I'm keep hinting towards, talking around the issue of ignorance, for one, which is to ignore, because there's nothing you don't know. Basically, our imaginations are fueled from memory, for one. Okay, this is something that I was just actually able to just kind of like reassess for myself within my own just appreciation of how to articulate the different explanations as well as quirks in response to a lot of this sadistical hubris that we encounter out here in this, you know what I mean, in this sort of this kind of like, it's not even society, it's more of like it's not a community. I mean, it's a community. Everything's community. And this is a lovely community. I mean, just the earth is a lovely community. It's nothing like the earth. It will never be nothing again like the earth. And so that's one beautiful thing about this very moment, is that this is not just some whatever type shit. Like, we talking about alternate and alternative, and we talking about futuristic, when, yo, bro, like, this right here is the rawest, organic, sort of just the realest there ever needs to be, and we grow from there. You know what I mean? All this extra shit they talking about outside and other than is nothing but that stagnation, really, to where it's not really even moving in any necessarily direction, because it's trying to be safe. Talking about, you know, progression is a process. That's fine. However, like you said, like I said, imagination is tapped into the memory, and not just your own individual memory, but your individual memory is your door is the door that opportunity would knock on. Okay, is your memory, right? However, the door is on something. Your memory's on that vehicle, which is consciousness in itself. We talking about imagination. The moving conscious is your imagination. Okay? You feel me? Unless you sitting somewhere waiting for opportunity to come knock on your door, which is your memory. And a lot of people are fucking invite imagination in just so it can't go knock on somebody else's door because it's making rounds. You know what I'm saying? Like, it got shit to do. I mean, opportunity got shit to do. You know what I'm saying? It's knocking on your memory, not for you to try to hold it up from doing this shit. You're trying to crawl around with it and shit. The point is this. Ignoring. And that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people ignore that knock. Or even if they don't ignore it, they try to stall it and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and which is the same thing, basically. Ignorance, not knowing. To know is to see, is to remember. Okay, for one. Point number one. Knowing is remembering. Yeah, you may not have learned something, but even when you learn something, it first of all should be the truth, because that's all that exists. Anything other than the truth is just in reference to the truth. Okay? We talking about information and we talking about truth. Okay, that's like the difference between knowledge and wisdom. You know what I'm saying? You can't have truth without information, because, of course, how would you reference the actual functionality of this truth, right? But there's nothing but truth. Life is truth. Truth is freedom, you know, the freedom to be real. Reality is real, okay? Being natural, like not having to basically reverse your function, your purpose, basically. I mean, we have to dance in this pit that we in, this snake pit. You have to charm these fucking cobras, nigga. In this snake pit. You know what I'm saying? But you don't have to stay in this pit. Or these snakes don't have to remain. You can behead these snakes, nigga. Real shit. One way or the next. I heard if a cobra get bit with his own poison, I would imagine a cobra, you know what I'm saying? You could take the poison from one cobra and poison the rest of them until they outro. You ever seen two cobras fighting? One gonna kill the next with that poison. So you got everything you need right there, cuz. Especially because there's more than one of them. You take the fangs from one, but you just gotta be, you know what I'm saying? You gotta be calm enough to catch it while it's striking. You know what I'm saying? Charm that motherfucking cobra, nigga. Catch that bitch ass nigga sleeping. When you rear it up, when you snatch it up by the neck, it's gonna wake up. It's gonna try to bite. That's when you catch it. That's when you nigga clamp that nigga jaws open. You take that fang and you stick it in another one of them cobras. Okay. It's already automated, you know what I mean? The fang is, the juice is coming out because it's startled. It was asleep, so now it's trying to be, it's on the defense. You know? So, you know, you just gotta just know what you're doing. Decide it. And don't drop. Don't stop to crawl, nigga. You know what I'm saying? You gotta run on them niggas. Because that's where you did. That's why you there, is to poison the cobras with their own poison. Okay? Now what's cold is that last cobra. If you don't have by this time, or if you gotta use, you don't have the tool, you don't have the sword, nigga, to cut the head off the sword. I mean, some of us do, but for those of us that don't have the sword, we have to charm these fucking cobras and use the poison against them, right? And be fucking sure enough and fearless enough and remain fearless enough so as to catch all the cobras and poison all the cobras in time enough while you're still dancing, so as to come to that last cobra. Now that last cobra, right? Ain't nothing you can do about that last cobra, yo. Ain't nothing you can do about that last cobra. But at least you can keep your eye on it. You know? Until you, you know what I'm saying? Until you find your way up out of that pit. You know? But I was saying, like, about that. I don't even know how I got on that subject about a pit. Reversing your purpose is what I was talking about. And how you find yourself in a pit of cobras, nigga, when it comes to purpose and being able to actualize your motherfucking purpose and shit. That's what I was talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because that's actually like the key to happiness. That's actually like the reason for existence as a person, is to actualize your purpose. You know what I'm saying? Within your own arena, within your own realm of functionality, within your own spread of influence, inspiration, and intuition, and initiative, and all those different energies and shit, which are eternal. You know what I'm saying? So don't waste infinity on temporary exchanges or responses or activities, endeavors, indulgences, which nothing lasts forever. except for the moment. The moment. Feel me? Like the now. Now is the only thing that lasts forever. Right? That making sense to you? Now is the only thing that lasts forever. Well, I say, I have a line in one of my songs that said, the only thing that lasts forever is yesterday. But basically that's the whole situation. Yesterday lasts forever. Okay? And that's how energy is eternal. However, in order to beat eternity in this marathon, you have to actualize now. You have to actualize the now. A lot of us are in the mix in a spiraling sort of cycle, stagnant and static, and so it's difficult. And we find ourselves spending more time, just a few more moments behind the now, having to charm these cobras. You know what I'm saying? In this pit away from our purpose. And that's for a reason. But it's also because of the human nature of some of others who have their own reach and influence and intuition and initiative, and live their lives in a way to where now they're crawling into their stepping, into their walking, as opposed to their initial running, in reference, not necessarily comparison, but just contrast and respects to other running that was happening. Like, say, for instance, your boy who said, you know what I'm saying, Lao Tzu, he, you know what I mean, he was a runner. I would assume, I would not be surprised to find out that cuz didn't never walk either, or never crawl either, because some babies they don't never crawl. You know what I mean? You can put a baby down, it ain't finna move until it stand up and walk. Some babies is like that. And when it start walking, it ain't finna take one step and then fall back down. That's usually the crawlers that do that. You know, I mean, anything's possible. It might never crawl, stand up, take a step, and then start crawling for longer than it took for it to even take that one step, because of fright, because of the, you know what I mean, because of the surprise of that they actually did what they was thinking about doing. And that was enough for them to even get close enough, because they are, you know, they're comfortable with not doing it. Or they, you know what I'm saying? They still are exploring the feeling of not doing it. And so they move into another realm or zone of not walking, which would be crawling, which they never had done before they even stood up and took a step. Okay? It's different types of people, it's different decisions to make. And this is a new decider, okay? This is a new decider. And so it's like, it's so many different turns to take when it comes to decisions. But what's going to take you, what's going to guide you, is your activity, is your will, is your goal. Is your goal. You know? You got motherfuckers who get carried around in a stroller until they 5, big ass, you know what I'm saying, toddler ass kids just getting strolled around. The legs dragging on the fucking ground and shit. Their shoes getting clipped under the wheel of the stroller. If you don't take that big ass, grown ass kid up out of that stroller, God. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, you be seeing that. And it's like, what's that about? Like, that's just like, you know what I mean? It comes back to this, what I was telling you about. And I'm not talking about nobody's fucking kids or parenting. I'm just talking about the mind and the imagination and the memory. Okay? I'm not trying to bang on nobody. If I have something I want to say to you, I'm going to say it to you. And if I have something I feel like doing to you, I'ma do it. But a lot of times I don't feel like doing nothing to nobody unless they want me to do it to them. To be honest, you know what I'm saying? It's been very rare that I've wanted to do something to someone that they didn't know that I could want to do to them. That they weren't already, you know what I'm saying, like subconsciously feel like having the option to make the decision to do a particular set of options to them or with them. And that's why these girls, man, they be trying to see you before you see them. Because sometimes you see a girl, man, and that just, you know what I mean, that natural impulse just pop out. Like, it's not even necessarily an instinct, it's really like an impulse because you're just a goer, you know what I mean? It's like, and even if you're not a goer, like, that'll make you a goer, you know? And they have to protect that. They have to keep that pure. They have to keep that natural because it's like, they have to keep, they gotta have it, they have to keep their advantage, their position, their fucking, their angle on it, because it's like if we take it and do the wrong thing with it, then it's going to start to work against all of us. As far as that provocativeness, to provoke, you know, when a woman is provocative, she is provoking. You know what I'm saying? We look at provocative as if it's, you know, illicit or immoral. And no, a provocative woman is someone who has, you know, femininity. She's in her feminine essence to where she is now tantalizing. She is exciting you, not necessarily, you know, seducing you, but you can take it and apply it to whatever sort of function as to continue to seduce a person with this excitement, with this activation, with this you know, this essence, this, you know, this natural just magnetism, you know? Because we electric and they're magnetic. You see, they're exciting the electricity with their magnetism. You know, and that's why when you see these funny ass niggas out here trying to get your attention and shit, they've been watching. They ain't been actualizing their impulse. They're ignoring it. For whatever reason, a lot of time life, because of circumstances, situations, other hurt women are their moms a lot of times. Or they pops is whack, or whatever reason, or they, you know, just something happened to them that traumatized them, something, you know, it all gonna come back to us. It's all a sequence, you know what I'm saying? It's got an origin. Just know this. But they end up ignoring themselves. They have to deny themselves, right? And that was the point I was saying, really. I mean, it's really connected. That's why I'm even speaking on it out loud, so that I can try to track my thoughts about it. Because really, honestly, this is something that, like, I would not even want to even develop. Like, you know, it's like really more like a off-cuff sort of just like consideration. Because me, I like to have it like fall together unexpectedly so that I can kind of like bring out something that I would have never thought to bring out, as opposed to coming to a conclusion and then like missing all the different detours because I got this particular destination in mind. And I got to get there before it's too late to even be able to return to where I started from in order to make the relay, in order to make the conclusion as a universally applicable to whatever else, you know what I'm saying, inspired the reference to begin with. You know what I mean? As far as thinking, you know what I mean? Using your imagination type. You know what I'm saying? As I was saying in my other little recording about thoughts and how thinking and how you gotta be, you know what I'm saying? You gotta like realize that you're designating, or rather you're taking thinking, right? Your thoughts, or rather the process of thinking, the activity of thinking, and you're you're fucking categorizing it, basically. You're scheduling it, really, kind of like putting it on like a regimen sort of program. It's like I can't help but be thinking at all moments about everything, because I got to a point where like that became my job. Like that's even how I would make money, you know, even past the point of it just being exciting, it provoking me, which what led me to that provoking me is because, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. You know, we're talking about art now, you know, every artist has their muse. My muse happens to be truth. And the truth of the matter is it's me and her and me, and it's between us, really. That the truth is between two people, to be, you know what I mean? Everybody has their own truth. No, every two people have their own truth. Because what the fuck does your truth matter if ain't nobody else, you ain't, if it's not in reference to nobody else? And that's what understanding, that's the whole concept of understanding. And that's why understanding comes in after wisdom. Because you have what you know to be real to yourself. However, for whatever sort of excuse or explanation, when it comes to how that functions, that what you know to be real, how it functions with another person's acceptance or non-acceptance of their own inner wisdom, is where you find that understanding, you know, when the information is in the middle of that being that communication between the two of you, what you're saying and what you're not saying, or what you know what I'm saying, what you realize or what you don't realize a lot of times, and what you're saying and what you're not saying. Because a lot of times we can't say what it is that is best, that would best communicate, because we don't realize it. Aside from lying to each other for whatever reason, to protect feelings, you know what I mean? It really is, a lot of times we be trying to ignore that inner knowing, that intuition, that hunch, that instinct that's screaming at us that we're about to discover something about ourselves that we may not like, or we may not be ready for. You know, that we thought we wanted, but as soon as we almost had it, then we realized we was going we weren't going to be able to ever not have had it again. You know what I'm saying? And we can't necessarily control keeping it or losing it if we like it. And it can be used against us. And if we don't like it, but we still got to do it because we didn't already start it, then we may not want that. We do want to know whether or not we would want it or not. But a lot of times, we want to know more than we actually want to find out. And that's the problem when it comes to fucking ignoring, okay? You know what I'm saying? Like, how you gonna want to know some shit that you don't even really want to find out? Because then you're going to have to actually make the decision as to what to do about it. Okay? And that's the situation. It's like, we're not ready for everything, but you got to get ready, and you got to stay ready so that you don't have to get ready. You know what I mean? If you start, thinking about shit that you ain't really about doing, then you ain't staying ready. But if you stay doing and then actually responding to what thoughts come from out of your actions and seeing that all the way through, which is very difficult, and a lot of times don't match up because we're doing things, most of our activities are unnatural to begin with. We're having to survive. We're having to hide. We're having to fucking, you know what I'm saying? We're having to disguise ourselves and make up for shit that's not even real, because it has a function in this sort of situation we find ourselves in, this pit of snakes. You know? The snakes being the reversal of your purpose, you know? So it's like, as far as ignorance, the devil, as I had said before, is your ignored subconscious. The devil is your ignored subconscious. Right? And that's why you got your conscience, right? But the conscience is two parts of your conscience, yes? You got the devil on your shoulder and you got the angel on your shoulder. But a lot of times they just take the angel proofs out. And what's funny about that, that's another anecdotal sort of satirical cynicism as well as sadistic hubris in popular art or popular, you could say entertainment. You could say entertainment. Like, right? Because it used to start where you had the angel and the devil on your shoulder, right? But then eventually it just became the devil on your shoulder. Because that's your subconscious mind, is your conscience, is that voice that you are not deciding to say to yourself. Because when you think, you're talking to yourself in your mind when you're thinking. But you also hear your own voice speaking to you, giving you advice, giving you warnings, giving you ideas that come from what you're doing. Whether it be hearing something, watching something, if that's still what you're doing, and that gives you ideas based on what somebody else, of course, just may be saying. And your reaction to that, your interpretation of that, but not even necessarily, not always so necessarily so. It's just action in general. Inspire your conscience. Yes? And so you can either respond to that, you can actualize it, at least acknowledge it, and then decide your response, whether it be to ignore it, but consciously ignore it as opposed to feeling a way about it and not doing nothing about how you feel about it. Except for try to change how you feel without doing what it is that you know that you want to do. Try to feel better. Try to feel better about it. Like, what you mean feel better? You feel how you feel. And if you feel something else, then that's you feel differently. So where does the fucking phrase feel better even come in? I was sad, now I'm happy. Sad is sad and happy is happy. As long as it's real. Now, if you don't act like, you know what I'm saying, sadness is not real, as happiness is. And if you feel sad, let it be for something as worth as what would make you happy. Otherwise, you're just not as happy as you can be. You're just less happy. You're not necessarily sad. And so you don't need to feel better because you're still happy. You just want to be more happy. I guess that's better to a certain extent. You know, I guess that's how it could be better or worse. Because you realize you're still happy, but do you realize you're still happy? Or are you feeling like you feeling slighted or some shit? Do you feel, nervous about, what you deserve or whatever? Do you feel like you deserve to be something you're not? Like, you know what I mean? You are what you are. But are you what you are? Or are you just trying to distract yourself from what it is that you actually do realize? Because of whatever reason. And a lot of times it's out of our hands until we put it, you know what I'm saying? We capture it. We have to capture it. A lot of times things are out of our hands, but that's just because we're juggling so much at the same time too. So it's in the air at the moment, but it's going to drop back in your hands. You just got to keep juggling. You can't, you know what I mean? You got to catch it. You feel me? Yeah. If it's out of our hands, it's only because we either are juggling it or we didn't drop it, or we still ain't picked it up yet. It's out of our hands because you ain't picked it up, but it's there for you to pick up and throw in the air and juggle with other things that you can't hold all at once. However, if you ever seen a fucking talented juggler, at some point he gonna have all of them balls in his hands, and that's only when the show is done. That's only when he, after the applause is when he catch them balls and take a bow. And if you drop a ball, he ain't finna just leave it on the floor. At the end of the show, he might keep it on the floor while you're juggling because it didn't drop one. But I'm talking about, I'm talking about an achieved juggler. I'm talking about a talented juggler. Anyway, when it comes to not doing what it is that you think to do, you got to realize that's for a reason. And a lot of us, we start accepting that you can only do so much. And that's true. And that's very true. However, it's for you to change that. It's not for you to accept, especially if it's not nothing that you agree with. You can complain till you blue in the face. You can complain until, you feel better about it. However, you feel a way for a reason, and that's really the whole point, is to get to the bottom of why you feel like you do. A lot of times don't take nothing but a cool thought. But anyway, back in the day, they used to have the demon on your shoulder. They took the angel away all the way completely. Then they end up reintroducing the angel as popping up after the devil was already there talking to you, saying right before you would have did what your quote unquote conscience was trying to egg you on to do, what you really wanted to do anyway, was the point. Then right before you would have done it, then pop, then the angel come, their better reason comes out of nowhere. And that was just how that was just kind of the development, just kind of like the different sort of like directions that went into. I remember that. Cause I remember, I remember like seeing where it was both of them at one point, or even maybe like in literature, like historical literature, to where it was more both of them on both sides. Or, I just kind of was like, I noticed like the difference between the different depictions and how they would kind of present that. Like you would either have both, or you would have just one, which was, of course, was the devil guy, was the bad conscience, was the, you know what I mean? And then, or you would have him first, and then the angel will pop out. But then I guess sometimes you would have like, cause it wouldn't really even be like, you know what I mean? Like, notable. It wouldn't be like, it wouldn't have like any gravity if you had just like the angel just like always being good, always telling you the right thing. And then, you know what I mean? That would have to be like a sort of like pointed sort of morals, sort of like exposition, I guess, if it started with the angel and then the devil came. You feel me? Like, especially in the development of it, like if it's not as soon as you would even get into it, they're both there. But to have only the angel, then the devil come afterwards, would have to be something completely crazy. Like it would have to be like a super like interesting sort of situation. This is my scenario. But ignorance, it got the word ignore in it. Like, as I mentioned, knowing is remembering. Even when you imagine, you're drawing on your memory, right? So, it's really what you limit. It's really the only limit you put on it. A lot of times life will put limits on it because, of course, they want your attention. People want each other's attention out here. It's like, if you can get the attention from someone, you want it. Because that's what we're here to do. Our imaginations are connected. We're supposed to be using our imagination together. Not necessarily following any one particular dominant idea. However, us stretching the zones of our own imaginations to the points to where they're universally relatable from various and versatile sort of approaches and arenas, you know what I mean, and functionalities. So it's like, yeah, that's what it's for. That's what the attention, that's what this whole influencer, you know what I'm saying, age era is about. Because it's like, the whole point is like, right, like, do you think that much of yourself to where you feel like you don't need anyone's attention? Or do you think that much of yourself to where you feel like you are important enough for people to know about you or to even care about you? You know what I mean? So it's like, that's the two sides of it, but it's like, it's nothing wrong with either one of those. There's nothing wrong with either one of those. And that's a healthy, natural sort of society, a natural sort of like, you know what I mean, social fucking, you know what I'm saying, setting to where it's like everybody realizes that they matter to each other, even if they aren't involved with each other's everyday activities. Just the fact that you're a human too. It's like I have an ear if I'm here, even if I'm busy doing something else, and if you're rude enough not to respect that, then that's on you. Like, I'm not gonna just assume that you're not worth noticing or worth my attention or my energy. Like, God put us in the same place, right? And whatever led me here was my actions. Whatever led you here is maybe your lack of actions or actions. And it's a dichotomy. It's a balance. Whatever led me here was also my lack of actions. However, I find myself most places because of what I am doing that I should be doing. Okay? So a lot of people can't say that. A lot of people can't say that. They can't say that they where they at because they're doing what they should be doing. That they're living their purpose. A lot of people can say that. I'm not saying, well, I'm more special than that, but I know I'm getting a lot more attention than the motherfuckers feeling like they want to try to steal my attention away from me. Or they want to be offended that they don't have my attention for whatever reason. When they have my interest, I have their interest at heart. I have their better interest at heart. More than they have my attention or I have their attention. You know, and what's another funny thing about that is, like, a lot of people, they be watching you and be trying to hide that they're watching you. Like, because of how special that attention is, it's really not even just attention, it's really more interest. And what is your interest in watching a person? Because you realize subconsciously that energy is alive, my nigga. And that they need your blessing. Your blessing. And that's why you would judge them. Because now you're putting yourself in a position of power over them. If they subsist to it, and even if they don't know about it, that energy is there because you're thinking of that person. Now, why would you be thinking of a person and they not know, especially if it's not in their best interest? If you're not a judge assessing their case in a court of fucking law, my nigga. Because even after the fucking trial, my nigga, me and the judge can go have an openly neutral and casual fucking cup of coffee, okay? And not have to be thinking about each other, okay? Or worried about how much attention we giving each other, okay? So, when it comes to ignoring your own feelings, your own impulses, you're only left with distraction at that point. And that starts to fucking spread, as opposed to you visiting and stretching the corners of your own imagination, building on that map that is to lead you to self-knowledge, which comes from you finding information on your journey that is relevant and universally functional to the you that you are, the who that you are, the you that you are, the who that you are. Not only in reference to anyone else, but also in reference to anyone else and everyone else. Because just because you don't know somebody, or you don't like somebody, or you don't talk to somebody, don't mean that their existence does not affect your existence. The very fact is that everyone's existence affects everyone else's existence. Down to the very thoughts that you have, let alone the actions that you fulfill, or choose not to fulfill, or are not in best position to feel most comfortable considering, before you would consider whatever the fuck else, for whatever reason you want to keep allowing, even after the second chance not to do the shit again. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to have them opportunities. Opportunities are going to catch up with you, right? But is you going to try to hold up opportunity because you are, you feel, you know what I'm saying? You feel like life is fucked up and, opportunity just came to because he needs attention. Like, opportunity need attention, so that's why it's knocking on my door. It's like, no, my nigga. He's supposed to have been dropping weed off, girl. Now, if you gonna be chill enough to smoke with opportunity, then you have, you know what I'm saying, the right to invite an opportunity in. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not about for me to say what you have a right to do. However, it's just about the principle, okay? It's about the principle, like, right? You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna be chill enough to blaze with opportunity, because really opportunity supposed to stay with you, because opportunity will grow to love you, grow to need you around it. Because see, it's nothing wrong with having attention from someone that understands you. It's like, that's why it's so important anyway, the exchange and interchange with people. Because we're all in this realm to bounce energies and realizations and discoveries and challenges and talent and techniques, art forms and traumas and tensions. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's called homeostasis, or it's called where you take one sickness to cure another sickness. Homeopathy or something, homopathy or something like that. And this was alternative to pharmaceutical, where they take the same exact chemical, and no matter of your karmic background, they subscribe you the same treatment based on these different symptoms. But sometimes symptoms can be related to various different imbalances or misfunctions within your body, which actually your body is connected to your mind. You know what I'm saying? It's all mental. Everything, every disease comes from lack of balance in your mind, between your left and right brain, specifically between, and even more specifically between your pineal gland and your pituitary gland. Even just speaking medically, speaking naturally, speaking biologically, because you got the medical industry, then you got biology, and if you realize, and you really take the moment to even understand and appreciate biology, a lot of times contrasts with medicine, or what you would call the pharmaceutical sort of. You know what I mean? You got biology, but the study of medicine is not the same as the study of biology. And biology is also still psychological. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, because the soul, they say, is your thoughts is actually your mind, your brain is neural or whatever, right? So it's like, that's a whole nother situation. I gotta articulate that. Like, I gotta hide it. I got like the understanding of it, like appreciation of what it is in my mind. But it's like, I'm not really necessarily like, I haven't really like wrote down exactly my thesis. I mean, not to say that I haven't written it down. Actually, I have written down before a few times. I have several theses, and they're all locked in an online vault, and I've sent them to people too. So, but aside from like developing like my current sort of encapsulation of it, to where I've assigned different terms so as to when I'm referring to it, that's something I keep free, and I have been keeping open, because of the fact that we arrived at it together, and it has nothing, it has no function without her, and in reference to her, him, and in reference to him, us. You know what I mean? And it's just that's just the switch. That's the circulation, right? Because even, you know what I mean? Even as a son, the first person is a her, right? That I even touch, see, I mean, the same thing for a daughter too, right? So that's interesting, and that's a whole nother thing too. That's very interesting. That's a special little area too, right? You know what I mean? That's crazy. That's just kind of like the dichotomy, like, you know what I mean? Like, to her, from him, her to her, from him, and to her from her, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy, but it's all from her to begin with, like, to her, from him, from her, and to her, from her, but to her, from him, to her. You know what I'm saying? But yo, yeah, the point is, like, right? Cause smoke with opportunity. No, I'm just joking. And your will too. You gotta have your will and opportunity all in the session together. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? With the desire, all of that. It's a whole actual fucking hot box. With the desire and the will and opportunity in the spaceship. That is consciousness. Okay? With the door to the spaceship, on or off. That is your memory. You know what I mean? And it's not about space travel, but at the same time, like, nigga, you gotta understand, like, you are a very acclimation, bro. You are actualization and acclimation, because see, in actualizing in itself to begin with, you are an acclimation of already determined factors, i.e. matter, i.e. minerals, i.e. freaking the very particles that are the dust that your grandparents was breathing, okay? That knew your grandparents before you was even ever thought of, right? Your great-grandparents was breathing air, right? And it was thinking thoughts, and them same thoughts have circulated throughout the universe and through every person that's been on Earth and their grandchildren and all that before you was born, right? And it travels through light, right? Which light is sound, which is frequency. But even more specifically and more directly, more, I guess you could say, personally, more, fucking, you know what I'm saying, more like, more apparently through light, specifically. In other words, the position, because light is nothing but the position, and the position of the Earth, which is the distance and the speed of the Earth away from this light, from the source of light, right? So that's nothing but, that's what time is, for one, right? So as far as thoughts and how they travel and how you came together out of material, like there's cells in your body that make up the organs in your body, right? You started from symbiosis, basically. You know what I mean? That one cell that split into 2, split into 4, split into 8, into 16, into 32, and ended up making a zygote in your mother's fucking uterus, right? The very cells in that, the very atoms in that, is light. Okay? Little baby suns, little microscopic suns, okay, rotating a sun, other little baby suns, right? What's funny about like a nucleus, right? Protons and neutrons, right? The electrons themselves are like suns, right? But the protons and neutrons are even more condensed, to where past even it being microscopic, it's microscopic. It's like, say for instance, you got like a structure or a form of a proton, right?
you would think of it circular or whatever, but it's really, I mean, I guess it's circular in that it's an orb and that it has like a halo, basically, a boundary of its emanation of force, or I guess you could say energy, right? That's like the edge of the universe that the sun would be inside of. And that universe is being orbited by these now other larger scaled suns, which are electrons, right? And those atoms make up cells, right? And the cells themselves are a whole nother sort of like pouch of substance, which could be likened to another larger scale universe, which is still microscopic because it's a cell, right? But the protons making up the atoms that make up the cell are like another smaller sort of like whole complete universe in itself, right? But it's on different levels and different scales of bigness, or you know what I mean, of bigness, basically, until you get to the point to where now those cells make up, or those atoms make up molecules, which make up cells, which make up the cells make up everything, basically. You know what I'm saying? The cells join together to make everything. Everything breathing and alive is cells, yo. Right? Like, from a cell, you get everything. You know? So it's like, yeah. What's funny to me, like, right? Okay. You got the cells or whatever. But the whole point is sound is what forms that cell. Like the energy, the sound is what pulls all of the different elements of that cell together. It's that invisible force. When it's not necessarily invisible, it's just that on a scale level, our eyes are configured to see the light of our sun, which would be like one of them suns inside of the universe that is the proton, which we probably have. We do actually have fucking humongous stars. They're called even not even supernovas. They're called something ever type of stars that are larger than our solar system. The whole star, and that would be like an electron, basically. Even though it's still within our universe to a certain extent, but we have layers to our universe too. You know what I mean? So it really kind of, we have like this bubble of a universe that we can, as far as what we can see within the universe. But then they talk about these stars, bro, that's billions of times the size of our sun, bro. And that's kind of like to kind of give you an idea of what I'm speaking on when I say these electrons are just larger suns orbiting what we would say our visible universe is, because we can't see that big ass sun. Not without a telescope. And even with a telescope, I think they're talking about these suns that they can't see. Because if you could see a sun that large, that's billion. Like, if you could see that, then nigga, that shit would be blinding light. Maybe it's so far that it seems smaller, and that makes sense. And maybe we can see it within our own visible universe. But that don't mean, just because it's within our universe don't mean that that's not just like the electrons within a particular cell, because you got an atom, right? Right? So, and then you got the electrons that's circling the atom. But then that's all within a cell. That's all within a cell. You know what I'm saying? So that's the point I'm making with atoms, electrons, protons, and cells. And what forms it, what draws it, is that gravity. But gravity in itself is directed. Like, that's the main thing, really, is gravity. You know? Because see, you have to have something that is pulling that magnetism. That the electricity, that is the light, that is the motion, that is the frequency, the movement is electricity, but it is directed by magnetism. You see, that's why you got electromagnetic. you know, and it really depends on the strength or the capacity, the range. Yeah, it really depends on the immensity, I want to say the intensity of the magnetic force as to the range of the frequency of the movement of that electric force, which is all the same thing, because really the movement of the actual electrical element, whether that be a particle, because that's really how they really detect the presence of these energies, is through particles. Otherwise, you would not be able to see anything. You wouldn't even be able to reference what's really happening without light. But light is what happens with it happening. Okay? But it's happening even where there is no light. Or rather, visible light. Right? The visible light is merely where it is happening at a particular rate or in a particular rhythm exchange, electricity and magnetism, to where it is detectable from whatever reference point, whether it be us standing on Earth using our optical eyes, which is made up of cells themselves, which make nerves and tissues and intertwined. And what brings that even an anatomical structure together is the same force that separates the visible light from the invisible light, fucking billions of miles away, that we can see visibly in the sky. It's the same force, and that same force is sound, which is light, and that's what makes you. And that's really what sets the stage for what you have to draw off of, as far as mathematically, even just in functionality towards the in reference to everything else that is existing and will exist, because it can only exist based on these particular elements of life, that being, organic material. The same thing everything is made of, which is matter. Right? So it's like matter is in itself energy, but it's just really the way energy is structured on a physical level. On a physical level, basically. So it's like your very physiology, your very physicality, which is your existence, your physicality, to be born after being conceived and to then decide to crawl or step or run. It's all based on a sequence of occurrences to begin with, which were initiated, actualized, and acclimated through decisions. These sequence of occurrences was all guided and directed through decisions. The first decision, they say, in the Almighty thinking of itself and affirming that it was, in saying I am. Right? Now that's a decision. And from that, every other sequence of occurrences derives from, even to the point to where it eventually makes a bacteria after whatever sort of, invisible sound force within the light force decided to clump together a big rock that eventually had water on it because of the bacteria, or vice versa. And that bacteria ended up evolving into cells, organic, or organic life cells, which then acclimate and is activated and interacts with light in a particular different sort of rhythm and mathematical sequence, right? So as to give you bones, to form an actual person, which will then grow a brain, so as to then telepathically and remotely receive and detect these kinetic as well as metaphysical sequences. You know what I'm saying? And that's crazy, because like that's a whole mouthful. Like that's crucial, because that's really the situation. Like, yes, we are physical beings. However, we're only physical beings so as to be receptors, to be transmitters. It's like we're antennas, really, right? We have antennas, but we also are antennas. You know what I mean? And we receive these non-physical elements, and that direct something different than just a regular sort of physical purpose or physical activity. Now, you reach the expression of the purpose of these particular sequences through your physical activity, but that is not the reason for it. Like, that's not necessarily the reason for it. It's beyond that. It's like, it's not necessarily in space, but it's not necessarily just on Earth. Because where's Earth is in space. So even for it to be on Earth, it's still in space, nigga. It's what you gotta really be able to appreciate and accept, and kind of like at least respect that. Like, you gotta see it for what it is. Like, it's not just the work, and that's how we are antennas. Because, you know what I mean, an antenna is a fixed position, that bounces a particular, fucking transmission, or a particular broadcast, really, to other, to stations, basically, to basic stations. And you can do that without actually radio waves, and the waves are going on. I mean, that's what I'm talking about, even the radio waves. But even radio waves are just a reference, or in connection to something different, something not of this necessary sort of light-based system. Because where did the light come from? And you know what I mean? And that's really the whole question that even science is trying to answer. And the only answer you're going to get from your, your belief system is that you have to wait till after this particular material existence in order to find out. And even then, it's not just for you to find out, because it's not for you to worry about. It's what anyone who is not encouraging self-discovery and searching the conscious in order to realize through enlightenment is going to tell you. Otherwise, if they're not saying that, then they're saying that it doesn't matter, or that there's no way to know, and that there's nothing to know. However, that doesn't really fit with the fact that We are here. And that whatever it is that you do intuit to want, or that it is that you focus on, lives. And not only does it live, my nigga, it blossoms. You know what I'm saying? It blossoms and it evolves, and it also fucking not only does it live, bro, it gives life. It lives, my nigga. It breathes and it evolves. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about evolution. That's what we're talking about. Because if you're speaking about time, that's how you realize the timeless. It's through evolution. I'm not necessarily thinking about getting to a point without time, but that's what the now is until after time passes. And then once it does, then you can't change the past, so that's without time. So when you look at it like that, it's like, that's eternal. The past is without time because it's already past. You know? So it's not to look back, it's to keep on from where we are in the sequence. You know? Whatever didn't happen is what made what happened happen. And what did happen is what made whatever didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I was trying to think about what that has to do with ignoring and ignorance. But really, it's kind of like the subconscious mind. And I was thinking about how, like, a lot of people, we have this time. But anyway, I was trying to think about what that has to do with ignoring and ignorance. But really, it's kind of like the subconscious mind. And I was thinking about how, like, a lot of people, we have this time to do all these extra other things because it's in place of what we would be doing, cuz, and that's no good, my nigga. It's no good, bro. That's no bueno, bro. That's evil, my nigga, in itself, bro. That's literal evil, dog. Because, see, them thoughts are now trapped in that pit with them snakes, and them snakes, once they eat you, they grow, and then they eat each other, and then that last snake that you would have been able to keep good, you know what I'm saying, you would have been able to fucking subdue, would have been able to fucking, or even just like train, or even make your friend, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know what I mean, like, you can just like defang it. After, you know what I'm saying? Like, after you that last snake, you ain't even gotta watch it, low-key. Like, you can just, like, after you get done taking the venom from all the other snakes, you take that last fucking snake and you defang that bitch. And it can't hurt you. Can't even bite you. And then it just, you know what I mean? You just start fucking on the snake. No, I'm just I'm only joking. You gotta let it, you know, eat enough of the other snakes before you can fuck on the snake, because it's probably just a small snake if you wanted to get larger and shed. So you gotta wait for it to grow if you want to fuck the snake. But if you just want to, you know what I mean, just not have to worry about watching the snakes, then you can just defang it and leave it as a little snake, and to where it'll never have a taste for blood, to where it'll become all the way animal, and maybe it even just, you know what I'm saying, like develop a like some sort of conscious for itself or whatever. But anyway, if you don't get to the point where you can defang that snake and not have to worry about no other snakes, you can really defang all the snakes. But by the time you get done trying to do that, you're going to need to be able to charm these snakes and keep them distracted enough before one of the snakes ain't going to bite your ass while you're trying to defang all the other snakes. So really, you know what I'm saying, you got to, you know what I'm saying, be real systematic in how you snatch each of the snakes while you're still dancing in order to poison the other snakes one by one, smooth enough to where you can get away with it. Now you can play with it once you can poison enough of the snakes to where now you can maybe defang some of the snakes and have more snake friends, But they gonna get the fucking, and they gonna make more snakes, and then that's more snakes for you to defang. Okay? Now that's why you can let that one snake that you gon' keep eat the other snake so it can get large if you interested in fucking the snake. Me, I ain't worried about none of that. But I mean, if you alone and ain't none of the snakes there, you gotta fuck something. But that's not the point. That's not the function of the snakes. The snakes is really just to distract you, to poison your ass from your purpose. You know what I'm saying? It's to really catch you up. Because if you don't get creative enough, you know what I'm saying? If you don't get to get inventive enough, then you're always gonna be distracted from your purpose. And even after being distracted, you're gonna be consumed by evil, which is not to live your purpose. It's not your fault, but that don't change the fact that it's still your responsibility. Okay, so defang as many snakes as you want. Really, you ain't gotta defang but one of them, and really you could just strangle that motherfucking snake if you want, but you want to keep it around so you're not alone. So you're not alone. And if you feel like fucking the snake, which you probably will, you know what I mean? I'm not mad at you. You gotta, like I said, you want to fuck the snake, let it get large enough first by eating the other snakes. But that's gonna take, you have to be, you already done doing the dance, right? So that means you gotta defang all of the other snakes except for one so that it can eat the snakes. Yes, so it's one of the snakes gotta keep his fangs in it, and that means you gotta keep watching that snake that it don't bite you, and make sure it leave you alone long enough to eat the other snakes, because then it got hungry and it's trying to eat you, and it's not gonna eat the snakes before it eats you, because you the prey. Well, shit, it eat another snake if it get hungry enough, and then you distracted it enough to. But then that's all the time that you could have been just in your zone, getting your dance on, learning about, you know what I'm saying, what it is you there to do, which is to dance, just long enough to snatch up a snake, to poison another snake, that you don't have to defang, because the defanging is really the work. You know what I mean? Like, the dance is, you use a snake charmer, that's fine. And they want you actually to kill them. That's what they want. They don't want you to fuck them. They don't want you to eat them. They want you to, they don't like being snakes. You feel me? They ain't got no legs, no arms, nothing. Okay? So, what you do is, right, so even if you want to let the snake get large enough so that you can have a big friend or something, I don't know. Maybe, you want to, you know what I'm saying? You're just weird or whatever. You got all that extra time. You got extra time, then you're just doing stupid shit. Then it's like, okay, word, you can let some of the snakes live by taking the extra time to defang the extra snakes that you want to eventually get ate up by the snake that got the fangs on it, right? And that's if it chooses to eat the snakes. And that's less snakes that you can take the venom out of to poison the other snakes that would have gotten eaten when the time come that the fucking snake want to eat the snakes. You feel me? So it's like extra shit going on. You know what I mean? When you get to stay dancing, and every time you opportunity knock, you snatch you a snake. You know what I'm saying? Poison another snake, nigga. You feel me? And what you gonna do with the snake you snatch? You gotta keep that bitch with you. Right? Because now you done woke it up. So now you gotta use it to poison as many snakes as possible. But you gotta keep dancing the whole time. But so once you start, then you just gotta keep it going. You know what I mean? Because it's like, what you gonna do with the snake you got in your hand and you using the poison? You gotta keep it with you. Or you're gonna have to defang it. Or put it back to sleep. But once you wake it up, then that's like, it's like it's hard to put it back to sleep without waking up other snakes. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, right, like, you got the snake with you, right? Poisoning other snakes with that one snake. You gotta keep that motion going. You know what I mean? But, you get tired or whatever, that's why you gotta be quick enough to where, you know what I'm saying? You do it before you get sleepy. You know what I mean? Which in this situation, it means where your mind get to start to get too, you know what I mean, too worn. You feel me? You know what I mean? This is after some years. I'm not talking about nightly. I'm not talking about like a daily operation. I'm talking about like, you know what I mean? Say, for instance, this day is your life. You know what I mean? Before the night is with the end of your life, whatever, right? So it's like, we talking about still time to do all of this. It's many snakes. It's endless snakes. You know what I mean? But that's what you're there to do. Is snatch up all the snakes or snatch up a snake so you can poison other snakes. A lot of times something might happen to where, you know, sometimes if the snakes wake up, one of the snakes might wake up and see that you're using that snake and try to eat the snake so you won't be able to eat so you can take it out your hand. But then, you know, that means you gotta put that snake back to sleep once it done ate the snake. And then that's good because now you gotta worry about holding that snake and you just dance until another chance come to snatch another snake. Because, you know, you let that other snake get to it or it got to it without you realizing it because, you know, snakes are snakes and they gonna try to, you know what I mean? They'll eat that snake you holding so that you can't keep poisoning the rest of the snakes. And a lot of times that happens without you realize it. But it's okay because then that's like you know what I'm saying? It takes it off your hands to where you can just get your dance on, not have to worry about, you know what I mean, poisoning as many snakes as you can as soon as you can. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it happens. But a lot of times you got more than one snake that might wake up and get alerted to what it is that you're doing as far as like using that one snake to poison another snake. So then it's like they work together and you got to fight off one snake, you know, while you're trying to protect. You know, you gotta fight off two snakes or even more than one snake. You gotta fight it off while you're still trying to make sure that the snake you're holding don't bite you, but you're supposed to already have a good clutch on that snake before you even try to poison any other snakes. You shouldn't have to worry about that snake biting you. Okay? Now, you can catch two snakes. You know what I'm saying? You get more than one snake that wake up, that's another snake you can have. Just poison the snake before it get a chance to eat the snake you hold it. But that's if, you know, that's what you really about that life. You know, you hadn't poisoned that snake, but you think that one snake that woke up with the other snake, you said he get bit twice. So now you got two snakes. Now you're able to just breeze through all the rest of the snakes, right? And you ain't got to worry about keeping the snake for your friend or whatever. But at the same time, it's like, hey, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Fuck all that. Yeah, so ignoring and shit. Oh, that niggas be having time to do shit that they wouldn't necessarily do. There's a point in that story. Okay? When you don't know how many snakes it is, for one. You know? Because they coming out of everywhere, and you never know until it's the last one. You know, because you gonna have to decide what to do with that last one. At that point, that's when the defanging coming in, and you can't defang before you know that you ain't gonna need them fangs no more. Right? So I understand we in this pit, but you gotta keep it. Once you snatch that snake, you gotta keep dancing with the snake. Otherwise, you're gonna run into even more problems than you already had on your hands, than you had before you just tried to, you know what I mean, get creative in order to get yourself up out of that pit. You know? You can dance your way through the whole shit the whole time, and, you know, then the night come, and it's still mad snakes. You know what I'm saying? The snakes is still there. You've been dancing the whole time. No, they didn't bite you. And you lived to the end of the night. But it's nighttime now. It's nighttime now, yo. You know what I'm saying? And they've been fucking the whole time. So it's even more snakes than it was. While you dancing, they fucking, making more snakes. Well, they can't be necessarily fucking because they sleep. So I guess they wasn't fucking. Ain't nobody fucking in this story. That's it's a tragedy. This is actually, yeah, this is a tragedy. This is a tragedy story. What do you call it? Yeah, so like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Ignoring, like, niggas got time to do shit that they wouldn't necessarily be doing. And that's cool. Like, if you're an artist, and that's what the whole fucking cyber shit is, like, what the fuck is a digital artist, bro? I mean, and you know, I'm not even mad at a digital artist, because these niggas be having some ill ass shit. It's just so many people on Earth now, right? It's a lot of people on Earth right now, and this is like the snake waking up and eating the snake that you're using to poison other snakes. But it's more than one snake that woke up. It's like several snakes that's waking up right now. So we got an opportunity to, and it's like it's closer to nighttime too, right? So it's like we could chance it and just kind of lost this with the snake being eaten. Put the snake back to sleep. Don't get bit by the snake that ate the snake that you was using to poison other snake. But then you also got to fend off the rest of the other snakes that it woke up with, because it's more than one snake that's woke, you know? Right? So it might be 2 or 3 that's woke, maybe even more. So if you can take the chance to lose the snake that we poisoning other snakes with, because it's been a minute, man. So we tired of dancing already. Niggas is tired of dancing out here, and that's the whole shit. They didn't let us get, you know what I'm saying? They trying to let us get tired, though. Because people's looking around like, yeah, that whole, like, you know what I'm saying? That whole moral, integral lifestyle was one thing, but ain't nobody fucking. Yeah, but yeah, still ain't nobody gonna be fucking, bruh. And even if you is fucking, you ain't doing the right type of fucking, bruh. You doing, you know what I'm saying? It's not even worth the fucking, low key. It's worse to be fucking wrong. We already was fucking wrong. Not we, but y'all was already fucking wrong. Okay? Y'all been fucking wrong this whole time. Wronger and wronger, and worse. And that's why niggas don't give a fuck if it's worse to fuck, to give up and just start, you know what I'm saying? To give up, because it's like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, hey, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get all the pussy anyway. So it's like, fuck, we did all this just for this nigga to get all the pussy. Look. It's only so many seconds in it, okay? And I need a month of her time and attention. You know what I mean? Because I've been dancing for these snakes just like you. Right? You know what I'm saying? And shoot. Look, that's between me and her, okay? Anyway. They done let the niggas get tired at this point. And it's 3 snakes woke. At least 3. So, and it's towards the end of the night. Right? So it's like, that's really what's going on. Like, they trying to act like, oh, yeah, well, shit, it's not that bad. You can still, hey, it's change, it's modernism, it's, hey, you know, yeah, all that religious stuff is of the past. Yeah, it was, you know what I mean? Not completely the full truth. And so that in itself, you know what I'm saying? It's all about your faith anyway, but at the same time, it's like, if you can't see it in this lifetime, and that's what those books are saying, then that's a lot to fucking refute. That's a lot to justify. That's a lot to respond to, especially when it's like, it's so many people. You know what I mean? You're gonna get at least 2 out of 2,000 people that's gonna give you some attention, that's gonna agree with you, that's gonna, you know what I'm saying? That's gonna not care. Not, you know what I'm saying? It's not gonna make a difference to it either way, because it's like, there's already too many people anyway, you know? But that's all for a reason too. There's a purpose for all of that, to be honest. It's crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's gotta go one way or the next, and I'm not trying to necessarily save everybody or change the world. But I do believe in in destiny. I do believe in miracles. I do believe in miracles, yo. And just because we don't see it as probable or even reasonable or even useful or even helpful or even acceptable, doesn't mean that our vision is not impaired. Doesn't mean that our vision is not limited, because especially if we aren't making a choice to pursue where the thoughts, as well as the ideas, as well as the imagination and inspiration and provocation that is arrived, that is derived from the actions that we are able to do, that we do find ourselves choosing, then we can't put much on what we see as best to begin with. So it's like, you don't want to get in that mix. You don't want to get in that mix like that, because it's like, first you gotta be who you would be if you could be first, before you even say what should happen for you or anyone else. You know? Like, I'm an artist, man. I set out to be an artist in my life, bro. I don't want no other job. Not that I don't want no other job, but I work. You feel me? If I need to get like a secular 9-to-5 sort of labor occupation, that's fine. And it's not about having to do that. I don't mind. You know what I mean? Doing what it is that is on my plate, or pursuing what my actions lead me to do, or make you know what I'm saying, presents the opportunity for me to decide upon it. But I've done that. I've made these decisions. I've actualized the acclimations to where now the acclimations become actualizations, and the actualizations become acclimatizations, and all that extra shit. And so, you know what I mean? It bounce off each other, and it's going to be moving and progressing or not. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's all about relationships. It's all about an exchange of energy, and it's always been all about being true to your fucking position. It's the sequence that you're in. It's all a matrix. It's all mathematical. It's like, you can only do so much, but you can still do. You have to do all of what the much you can do, and that to where it can lead to you being in a better position to do more with the least you can do. You know what I mean? Now, I'm a master of that. Most absolutely. You know, because I'm a do something different. It's the whole point. It's not about doing more or less. It's about doing the most different whenever you can. When you have that opportunity to do something completely what you wouldn't do, but you still would like to do. You still would like to experience. You still would like to explore this part, even though you like something else too. You don't know how much you like whatever else. And they don't have to necessarily be different or opposite. It's just new. You know what I'm saying? You gotta do new things into where even new is new now. You know what I'm saying? What is new now is even new. Newness becomes new to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of us, we get in that pit and we say, you know, well, shit, this is the best of the worst. Or this is the best of the only. But how is the best if it's the only? You know what I'm saying? And that's cool. It's like, it's hard, and a lot of us don't have an opportunity. So it's like, that's why we can just be satisfied. We can be content with having more than what someone else had. But that's what the problem you come into when you get to comparing, my nigga. And that's true. A lot of us, you know what I'm saying? Some babies don't never walk. They don't even live to walk. And so, you know what I mean? You are able to experience teens in order to not have sex. It's still a blessing. But you still have your own mission, though. Completely outside of any of that. And it's a lot to be able to say or to be talking about or to even feel a way about what you deserve or how much more a person can do when it's like, oh, okay, well, shit, you're not even the best at what you are doing. Who's to say that? I'm still here. I'm still doing what I'm doing. You feel me? You still doing what you doing, dog. I mean, if you want to stop now, then don't be trying to start up later, girl, with me, girl. Because once you get there, my nigga, and I'm, in fact, the best ever to do some shit, if you was to compare, you already said about how I wasn't doing some shit, bro. In whatever time that you done gave me, bro. While you still ain't did nothing new the whole time you looking this way. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the situation. Like, because we so distracted, it's like, there should not even be any no time. There's so much to explore. There's so much to actualize. As well as on top of acclimating what has already been actualized before our existence and within our existence, and because of whatever else we did not choose in what we chose and what we chose and what we didn't choose. You know what I'm saying? To where there's not even any area. You feel me? Like, we've been defanged this last snake, bro. You know what I'm saying? But see, we didn't know that snake was pregnant, though. When we defanged it. You know what I'm saying? And so then had the little babies, and see, a snake, it lay an egg. It lay more than one egg. So it don't have to be around, my nigga. Like, we defanged that last snake and took the snake with us out the pit, bruh. Right? Cause we kept the snake with us just so we can, just for old time's sake. Cause we've been through each other. We've been through so much together. You know what I mean? And it's just for the principle, just, you know what I mean? Just for the memory. And that's what we was there to do. And that snake worked together, and that snake worked with us the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Because snakes want you to tame them. You know what I'm saying? They do. If it's able to be tamed, then that's what you're supposed to do with it. So, but we didn't know the snake was pregnant, right? So, and it had laid some eggs already before we left the pit, right? Because see, that snake is awake. The other one is asleep, right? But that one gotta be is awake because you're using it for it to strike at you. You know what I'm saying? And snakes are gonna wake up while you're doing your dance and using that snake to strike, because you gotta move around in order to focus on it to strike. You know what I'm saying? To catch the strike of this one main snake that you're using. Right? So it's like, woo, you know what I'm saying? You poisoning the snakes at some point, you know what I mean? You're gonna not be really realize that a couple of the snakes that's waking up is fucking the snake you're striking with. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna take but a quick second for the snake, you know what I'm saying, to get them eggs in her. And then whoopty wop, another thing happened, you getting real comfortable, you defang the snake, so now you go to sleep. Now you can rest because you defang the snake, and when you wake up in the morning, my nigga, you're not gonna be bit up and poisoned in your sleep. But that snake then went and laid them fucking eggs while you were sleeping. Right? So then when you wake up the next day, now you fucking out of the pit. Now you can find your way out the pit because you're not surrounded by snakes. Now a smart nigga will wait. Or a lot of times, not that they smart and they made them wait, because a nigga like me, I'm not waiting for shit. I'm getting the fuck out that pit as soon as I can, so I can get to the sunlight. It's dark in the pit. And I'm not taking the fucking snake with me. I'm killing that motherfucking snake. But it don't even matter if you kill it, because it laid the eggs in the sleep, right? Me, I'm strangling all the fucking. Every snake I catch, I'm not gonna use a snake. You feel me? Look, ain't no fucking going on. Ain't no eggs getting fucking laid, nigga. My pit, nigga. No, I'm fucking with you. You can't. Yeah, snakes is quick. You can't stop a snake from laying eggs. Is the point. The point is, make it to the next day so that you can get out the pit, right? But I guess you got to remember also to leave something for a person that fall in that pit, you know, like a knife to cut them snakes up to where they don't have to do all this extra dancing. You can just fucking slice them fucking shits up immediately. And that's you, and that's the next generation handling them eggs. You know what I'm saying? Because through the whole time I was doing this dancing, and fucking snakes is fucking. Okay? Now, we snake hunters, nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm a snake hunter. We excavate pits, because there's pits everywhere, nigga. You know what I mean? Don't wait to fall in no pit, nigga. We uncovering the pits. Okay, we running up in the pits. Now we get up in some of these pits, some big ass snakes. Mm-hmm. But you know what I'm saying? We blowing them shits up. I mean, now that we done got out the pit and it's over for niggas. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We get back to these swords and these grenades. Shit, nigga. About to go get nigga. We the mongoose squad. Niggas mongoose. Nigga, fleet. Nigga. No. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker lay their eggs, you out the pit, and they, you know what I mean? And they get to making more snakes and shit, and finding more pits and shit, you know what I mean? So now it's like, whoa, like, you know, if you don't get right back to that pit as soon as possible, but you don't never know that you're supposed to go back to the pit, you don't realize the eggs was there. You know, so they got time to do whatever they gonna do. You know, just remember, you gotta put two and two together. It's like, why are there more snakes now? You know? And keep your sword with you once you get about that piznit. You know what I'm saying? So when you fall into another pit, if you ain't realize that the only reason that snakes exist is because, of course, of that whole first predicament. Because you know what I mean? Ain't no snakes gonna bite your ass. And so you living through days. You know what I'm saying? When the night come, you ain't gotta get poisoned. Until you get trapped in another pit if you ain't got your sword and you don't make it through that dance the second time. Okay? So once you make it out the pit, which we made it out the pit, that's why we're here, and that's where we at. You feel me? We've been excavating pits right now. That's what's been going on. Pit hunting. But we ain't got to all the pits yet. Really, we still dancing. We still dancing right now. You know, a lot of us in our lives are still dancing, but our ancestors got out the pit before. Right? Okay? I'm telling you right now, the ancestors got out the pit, right? And threw a sword down for us too. But a lot of us, a lot of us don't even know that we got our sword. You know what I mean? Until we get out the pit. And we say, oh, that's what that is. That's what's that for. You know what I mean? Okay, word. Well, shoot, if I get back into a pit, then I know what to do then. You know, because once you make it out the pit, then you start, you know what I'm saying? You connect the dots. Maybe you meet some other snake hunters that didn't know you was in the pit because, you know, you said you was doing shit you wasn't supposed to have been doing, or you know what I mean? They just wasn't paying attention. or you're in another part of the world that, you feel me? And it's pits everywhere, you feel me? So it's like, okay, in one way, we were still in the pit, dancing, fighting off, trying to keep this first snake without having to wait until we can catch another snake. And before we fall asleep at the end of the day, with too many snakes still there. Right? So it's like, okay, we after the afternoon, it's the evening time. The sun is set, it's already set, it's nighttime, it's not, you know what I mean? Like, we in the middle of the night right now. And it's still mad snakes. It's less snakes than it was. It's less than, you know what I mean? It's less than more snakes. Even though they didn't have more baby snakes and they didn't grow. And we had to poison them too. Because we didn't have our sword. Or we didn't know we had our sword. Or we didn't know how to use our sword. But we use the snakes. Right? So the snake, right? Nigga. The snakes, right? You use the snakes to poison the snakes, right? They moving in on us. They didn't move in. And we got 3 snakes that's woke. We got at least 3 snakes that we can see that's woke. Right? Our best bet is going to be to capture another one of them big ass snakes. Because now they're larger. Right? And the poison that we was using before, we can only, you know what I mean? We can only use so much of it because, you know what I mean? That one snake is only going to produce so much venom in each strike. It's only a particular size, and the rest of the snakes are then got larger because they be waking up without you realizing. Because you know what I mean, you charming the snakes, but they don't always stay so asleep. And all the time they don't come strike you as soon as they woke. And so you got larger snakes than the main snake that you can call, which is a pretty big snake. You know what I mean, for you to be, you know, successfully poisoning the rest of the snakes. But now you got larger snakes coming out. Either the babies or the main snakes that have been eating the other snakes, right? Been eating the bigger snakes. And so they didn't grow larger than even the largest one that you started off with, right? A few of them then woke up because you was able to charm these larger snakes sometimes. But a lot of times they just be like, they be in the background and they ate up a bunch of snakes and then they come up out on, and you gotta try to put it to sleep. But now it's like a cool 3 of them, whether they would sleep before or not. You gotta capture this larger snake, which is like 2 times the snake you got, right? So you got 2, so you can have 2 snakes now. Because you're gonna need both the snakes to finish before the night is there, right? In order to defang this other snake. But then you still gotta get up out of the pit. And you still gotta encounter the existence of more snakes after you thought you had got rid of all snakes. Right? You know what I'm saying? This is a pit. This is one pit. It's not supposed to be no other pits yet. Okay? This is the first pit. You know? Only snakes exist in this one pit. Okay? Now, when you leave the pit, you don't realize that there's now brooding these other many little other snakes. You're not going to realize it until they pop back up. You know? So that's what's coming. It's a pop up. If we make it up out of this freaking pit. You know what I mean? And when I say we, I'm saying like you got something that's going to make it out, but then not everybody going to make it out the pit. Right? And even when ones that make it out on a larger spectrum of things, they as a group, as far as like the whole story, there's still the encounter down the line after generations of the generations of snakes that's been spreading into different pits now. And then multiplying within those pits. Right? So the best thing to remember is the sword. Okay? And the crafting of more swords. Right? So maybe that's how you, and what's cold is as long as you stay crafting swords, then you're gonna maybe find these pits before they pop up on you. because you got to excavate the same ground in order for the metal ore for the actual swords. Right? So you just got to stay keen. You know what I mean? The snake's going to hide from you until they get enough to where they can actually be a threat to you. You got to surprise them. You got to actually get there before they realize that you would even be there, to notice that they're there, to save time. Because then once you realize that snakes still exist, that means now, while you're excavating the earth for ore, you got to now be uncovering every pit. Because you don't know where these snakes then fucking spread to. Because they're going to spread. You know what I'm saying? That egg is there. And there's many ones that's going to come out that one egg. Let alone if there was another egg. Either way, it's still an excess surplus of snakes, right? They're going to breed because they're left there alone. Because why would you ever go into the same pit just to get ore? Well, say for instance, you do go into that same pit just to get ore. I mean, it's just ore. You was already in there. There ain't no threat of no snakes. You gonna go back and you gonna go everywhere you can go to get the ore. You might have, you know what I'm saying? You might be in the area. You might have not been trying to escape and, you know what I'm saying? Escape that area so fast, or you might be coming back sooner than you would have been gone. Try to experience freedom as much as you can. You know what I mean? Like, it's just chance. You never know. You could just be like, hey, okay, or whatever, make it to where you realize you got your sword now and how to use it, even though there's no snakes. Because now, even though you know that you got your sword, you still got to learn how to use it against the swords. Against the snake. It's easy because it's a snake and it's a sword, but it's way easier than dancing and putting them to sleep and taking a fucking snake and trying to poison the rest of the snakes. But you still gotta be crafty, you know, you gotta be skillful. Otherwise, even if you got a sword, you still get bit up by these snakes. So it's like, right? You scavenging the earth, you fucking scrounging the earth, you're excavating the earth of the ore. And that's making it to where you end up at the same pit to catch the same snakes before they even spread. Now that would be a miracle. And that's the miracle that I'm talking about when we're thinking about how, like, yeah, it's a lot been going on. It's a lot of poison. It's a lot of poison, yo. And it's, you know, a baby snake got all the poison it's gonna have in it. You know what I'm saying? At its birth. They don't make new venom. It's just got as much venom. It's got a lot of venom. You know, but it's just gonna get larger into where it don't need as much venom the larger it get. However, if you catch them hatchling, because you just are you learning fast enough how to use your sword from our ancestors that got out of the pit, basically. When you make it out of the pit, then you're gonna see them. They're gonna notice that you was in the pit. Oh, damn, you was in. Well, yeah, no, you know what? We couldn't come down there because it's forbidden, or we can't pass the threshold because you know what I mean? We already made it out. You know what I mean? But now that you out, we can go back in there. And so, but we wouldn't think to go back in there because we don't realize that you know what I mean? That the hash is going to be there. But we do want to make these extra swords, you know? So, I mean, ain't nothing keeping us from out of there, but we don't really have any other particular reason except for just, okay, let me just check to see if there's some metal up in there. If you do, check to see if there's metal in there, because you're moving that quick enough to where now you then checked every other option close enough to where it's like, just checking that would just be extra effort, or, you know, you just need to double checking to see about how much ore you can find, even though you got a lot of ore. It's like that would be the only time you might go back up in there. Unless you just do dumb shit like me, that's probably gonna be the first place I go. Cause I'm just sentimental like that. I really am. Like, you know what I mean? As soon as I find out about this sword, But see, the thing about me is I'm slow. I take my time with learning things. And so by the time I would even realize in learning to use my sword about making swords, because you're learning how to make the sword as you're learning how to use the sword. Really, you probably would learn how to make the sword after you learn how to use the sword. And so that means you got to be moving quickly in order to learn to use the sword. You got to master it and like it and love it enough to where it becomes part of you enough to where you even take up making swords. Because everybody ain't even going to make swords. So that's even more time it was going to take for us to find these pits without the snakes fucking grouping up together to pop back out on us from all these other pits everywhere now that they spread to later down the line after niggas then got comfortable with having swords that it's already made for them. As opposed to making enough swords to where we can have extra swords. Like, why would we think that we need extra swords? It's already enough of us, but we're going to have babies. And our babies will need swords. And we don't want to wait until our babies is here to make them a sword. Okay? We can, because it's not even going to use a sword until they get grown. So really it can make its own sword. And that's really the situation. That's really the beautiful part of it. Like, that's really what we want to be able to do, because there's nothing wrong with us fighting off all these other fucking big ass snakes, except for the fact that some of us is not going to make it fighting off these big ass snakes. Even though we got our swords. And it's not as hard as dancing. True enough. So we want to be able to allow our kids to, because swordsmanship is a part of life. If you live and you're going to learn the sword, but you don't necessarily always make swords unless it's your own sword. Because if you don't have a sword already, then you're going to have to make your sword. Okay? Now, you don't want to have to give your child a sword, but just because it needs to learn how to make its own sword doesn't mean it shouldn't already have a sword that it can use for me. It doesn't mean that it shouldn't already, it can't already have another sword or several other swords, other types, styles of swords. You know what I mean? Right? So you got these swords, right, that the kid already know, but in your making these different type of styles of swords and learning how to make these different type of styles of swords, and the whole time you actually learn how to use a sword, because you're not thinking, oh, you're going to be searching for these baby snakes that was laid. So you're not like in a rush to try to, you know what I'm saying? You're not in a super rush because you're free now. You ain't got to worry about nothing but the friend snake that you feeding. You know what I'm saying? What you eating, and it's getting larger, but it ain't got no fangs. So it's chilling. You know what I'm saying? But you don't know that these snakes is going to eventually spread, because they there still have to be time for them to grow and get to eating on each other to where they growing larger and having more babies and growing larger and having more babies. But shit, you don't know when the first of them is going to spread off into a different pit and make another pit. Even before the ones that are getting larger, get the largest, you got some that might break off. And it only take two to make some more. You feel me? So you got these ones that's going to go make these other pits whenever that may be. Even if it's at the last moment that they get as large as they can and then they move, and they're giving you time to go back into that same pit you was already in. That means that's still the time factor of you having the interest enough to where just the chance spontaneity sort of just random, fluke of you going back into that pit to see that there's snakes. If you don't go in there early and they still small to where you miss them because you would never expect that they're there. Even if you go in there later and they hide from you, or you go in there early and they hide them because of course they don't want to, you know what I mean? They snakes, they gonna hide from you, especially if they small. Because you're not looking for them, so you're not going to see them. Unless they're larger, for the most part. But if you're focused. And you're not just trying to do something, but you just actualizing. While you're acclimating, then you'll be smelling. You know what I'm saying? You'll notice the texture of this particular granite or whatever type rock, and then you go to touch it and you hear a hiss. But if you just like, okay, well shit, I don't see no ore up in here. Okay, well, you know what I mean? You working, you trying to get, you know what I mean? You on the task, just picking into the earth, trying to get to this ore. But you're not like, just like living. You free now. You ain't gotta dance no more. You know what I'm saying? You can let the ore come to you. And really, a lot of times, if you let an ore come to you, that's how you'll end up back in that pit. Because it's just, you would have never thought not to go in there. You didn't have no reason not to go in there, but you are going where spirit is leading you. But one, you're just doing. You're doing the next thing that comes to mind, as opposed to, you know, having all of these set agendas and only able to do so much because you're trying to do one particular thing or this particular thing, which you can do that as you are also keeping your mind open to other things there are to do. And that's likened to having these different swords. Because even if once your son decides to make a sword, what kind of sword is it going to choose? It's going to choose whatever it knows to choose or it sees you using. But if you're using one sword, it's only going to have one sword to use. I mean, it's only going to have one sword to choose unless, you know, it gets influenced by its peers, which is good. And it sees that they know of another sword, or they was actually, when they grew up having these other swords to use. Right? You know, but you want to let your progeny choose its own sword. You want to let it make its own sword once it chooses it. And that's okay. Like, okay, there's other people and you're not counting on it being able to, you're not really counting on any of those factors, but you have made the decision not to have the swords around your child too. You know what I'm saying? You want to have it to where you're sure it can be sure. No, when really it's not even that he or she's sure. It's really that you can say on its behalf, on their behalf, that they really are gravitating towards swordsmanship, and when they are, and all this extra shit, because you feel like it's better if they're serious once they decide. When that's cool, that's one decision to make, but there's nothing wrong with having these other swords around it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just gives it a better sort of vantage point, you know, of acclimation. You know what I mean? And it's like, swordsmanship is a part of life anyway. Swordsmanship is a part of life anyway. Towards, like, it's not going to live past a certain age without having, it's just the culture, it's just the tradition. It's going to have its own sword at one point. You know? Now, whether you have that sword ready before it's even conceived, before it's even born, whether it's many swords that you have that you don't necessarily even you don't teach them to use until they choose which first one they want to learn. Me, I'm not necessarily gonna force my child, but I'm teaching that child every one of them swords every day, all of his life, because swordsmanship is a part of life. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah, no, you don't want to, you know what I mean, make it so mechanical. You don't want to make it to where it's like so, you know, demanding of the person. You're already free or whatever. But that's one thing that you learn when you learn that you have your sword, is that swordsmanship is a part of life. And if, you know what I mean? If that's what life is swordsmanship, then it's like, it's only so much avoiding it that's even necessary, that's even functional, that even is proper, that's even, you know what I mean, that even really has its place. Because the whole thing is those snakes. And it's not even really about the snakes. It's about the swordsmanship. You know, because you don't even need the sword for the snakes. You know? But you need that sword for them kids who don't know how to, who get tired of dancing, who are not keen enough to watch every snake around them. I know they can. I know that's why it even is there. It's so that they do, but sometimes they don't. Okay? And we get one baby. These snakes having babies, it's having multiple at a time. You know what I'm saying? And our kid got to make it out of that fucking pit. And we can't go in there to go get it. But once it's out, then any one of us can go back in that pit anytime we want to. And it's going to take not knowing and not doing it, you know what I mean, in order to do it. It's like, in order to do what's best to do, a lot of times we got to be we got to be doing something totally unrelated completely. It's the point, bro. We got to, most times, and this is what I've learned by opportunity knocking on my door at Mach light speed. Opportunity having to catch up with me in order to knock on my door. But it's not even knocking on my door. I'm just imagining that it would be, because the opportunity is already driving. And it's not even driving because we done already put this spaceship on fucking cruise control, nigga. And we smoking now. We big chiefin'. Large grams. Me, my will, and opportunity, as well as desire, then came along because we need something to fuck on. But once we land, it's pits. Okay? And one of us is gonna fall in that pit. But we ain't, but one of us, but the other three, it's not gonna be able to go up in there and get the homie up out of the pit. It's gotta make it through out of that pit on its own, but once it do, then it's gonna come back to him that he had this sword, or rather we gonna tell him, bro, why you can just use your sword? What you mean, nigga? What is, oh, that's what this is? Oh, nigga, I thought this was a belt. Oh, nigga, I didn't even think about that. Dang, why didn't I think about that? I was just trying to make sure, you know what I mean? I just kept moving so I can just, charm these snakes, man. I knew how to charm the snakes. So I just stopped focused on that. I didn't even think about that sword. Hey, so how you use this? Well, shit, man, we gonna teach you how to cheat. Man, don't you know that's what you're supposed to be doing, man? That's why you got it, man. That's why you got your sword, bro. We ain't nothing without the sword. I mean, life is life and all that. We don't really, you know what I'm saying? It ain't about the sword at the same time. Yeah, nigga. We warriors, nigga. What do you mean? Can't believe you didn't use your sword, nigga. I don't know. I can't believe it either. How come y'all ain't come up in there for me? Oh, yeah, no. We was, you know what I mean? It's against the law. The law of nature. The sacred law. We could not come in there to get you. Because then it was a force field at the door and we couldn't come in. We was taking our sword and striking at the invisible, but it was no way we can get in there. So we was just calling to you to keep you awake. Man, you got out of there quick, man. Yeah, nah, man, I wasn't trying to waste no time, man. So yeah, this how you make swords or whatever. You know what I mean? That's how you use your sword, nigga. I can't, what you done forgot? Dang. Oh, that's what it was. Is that once you pass that pit entrance, your shit just completely just vanish, right? So now we gotta reteach you how to use your sword. Dang, bro, and how to make swords, homie. Well, shit, now teach me how to make swords first, my nigga. What all is involved with making this sword? You said we need swords. So you said we use swords. Where swords come from anyway? All right, yeah, no, for sure. No, that's dope. Yeah, no, I might look, homie. Once I learn this sword, y'all better watch out. I'm gonna be smith. Look. All right, nigga, don't teach me how to use this sword. Yeah, nigga, how you make this sword? Homie? You know what I'm saying? Because if you break my sword, nigga, you be trying to act kind of funny, man. Then I gotta depend on you to show me. And if you ain't feeling like showing me, I'm about to have you go ahead and show me how to make this sword while you feeling like it. Okay? Because once I win against you and I break your sword, and somebody gonna have to make a sword, another sword. So let's just make as many swords because we ain't got to stop fighting. You know what I'm saying? Because I like fighting. I can't believe I forgot how to fight. Show me how to make these swords. So we said you said we need what? All right, so I'm gonna catch up with y'all later. I'm about to go get all this ore real fast. All right, I'm about to go get all the ore so we can make as many swords as we want, just in case. Yeah, it really depends on what it is that you're doing. And I'm likening it to whole, this lineages, the genealogies. You know what I mean? This is nothing but, lifespan, humanity in itself. That's what our lifetime is that ladder. Right? And the 13 steps of knowledge is our growth, is our advancement and our understanding and our appreciation and our intellect, into our intellect, It's like you got all these different areas of information, these different genres of what is called gnosis, which is thinking. It's to use your brain. What is called gnosis, not just to even know something, but to consider the application of it, what it is that you have learned or are learning. And that in itself opens up a whole nother realm that universally applies to the different genres of the different types or kinds of knowledge that you would be considering. Like, say, for instance, economy and ecology, right? Those are two things related, but if you're an economist, you don't hardly know nothing about the ecology necessarily. And the less you know about ecology, the more damage you're doing to your own understanding of what it is that you do know about economy. Just in the very fact of how connected to ecology economy is. Now, if you are very involved, an active ecologist, or rather economist, I'm sure at some point within respectable enough of a degree of a realm, your involvement is going to is going to actually call for you becoming closely related to something having to do with the economy. It's just the way it goes. Mm-hmm. But if not, then you're on a lower level, bro. You still on that first, you still on that first few steps of that ladder, my nigga. Simple as that. Because if the more you doing as an economist, you become whatever type of, you really start making real moves as far as money is concerned. And that means that you got to be, affluently influential. You got to be influential in whatever sort of business dealings on a larger scale, as far as businesses between businesses and just economies between economies. Because, it's just like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like that, bro. Like, if you got $1 trillion or billions of dollars, it don't matter, because, nigga, this whole country got trillions of dollars. As a country, government. Right? Now, whose money is that?
That's the church's money, man. That's the church's money, man. Okay? For one, that's a whole nother topic, my nigga. Whose money is that? That's the church's money, bro. Not even just the Queen's money, bro. Not even just the, you know what I mean? The kingdom's money, bro. Literally, bro. So it's like, you got, you know what I mean? You can be a billionaire. You can be a multi-billionaire. They got trillionaires now, right? We got trillionaires now, right? So what's a trillion? That's 1,000 billion, right? What's a billion? That's 1,000 million. What's a million? That's 1,000 thousand. 1,000 ain't that much. I mean, think about it. You got 100 million, that's 100,000 thousand. That's better, but 1,000, that's rent. 1,000. Shit, it's 300 days in a month. It's 12 months in a year. So that's what, you know. You got rent. I mean, that's rent for a studio. Shit, nigga. 1,000, nigga, 2,000-3,000. Okay, that's rent for whatever. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You got to be doing too bad, but you know, for me, you can, you know what I mean? 3,000, right? But then in that stuff, that's already now over a year. That's 36,000. I mean, 3,600. I mean, 36,000, right? So 36,000 is already 1/3 of 100,000, right? So that's 1/3 of 100,000. That means that it's 1/30th of 1,000,000, which is a million, right? So you got 100,000, and that's 1/10 of a million, right? And so 36,000, which is rent for a year in any place to live without doing too bad. 36,000, yes, is 1/3 of 1/10 of a million, right? So it takes 3 years to get 1/10 of a million. So over 30 years, $1 million is rent for 30 years. You know what I mean? Right? So a billion is that 1,000 times. So that's rent for 300 years. Right? That's $1 billion. Right? But even that, right, times 1,000 would be rent for 3,000 years. That's $1 trillion, right? That's what we're talking about when it comes to economy, okay? When it comes to an economist. Now, there's different levels. You got the first step, which would be an accountant, right? A financial advancier or whatever the fuck. You an accountant, you work closely with, you know what I mean, personal business owners, and you know what I mean, you might even do bookkeeping or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? You may even, you know, you might even do banking. Like, you know, but if you're doing any type of banking at all, and you at least on the second or third level, and it's going to take that advanced sort of, you know, range or degree of knowledge to get to whatever next step that you would want to get to. Because we're talking about your purpose, okay? Which it begins with bringing good to the earth. Now, bringing good to the earth is going to take you traversing and traveling all the way through all of the levels, regardless of these ladders, nigga. Regardless of these ladders, my nigga. Okay? Bringing good to the earth. Because that's over lifetimes. Okay? It's going to take you being on that level that ladder would take you, and the next level, right? Because really, honestly, I'm the type of nigga, like I said, I'm going to go back up and down the ladder even though it's falling, not realizing that, okay, the danger of it's falling is more than just me being able to get back to this level, but now no one else will be able to get to this level. Right? Because it was on this level, then it dropped, right? To where even if you stand the ladder up, it's not going to reach because it's dropping from where it was already, right? So it's dropping and it's close enough to the bottom, to the next level where you were starting from, for you to jump up on that first level, on that first step, right, of knowledge.
and keep going fast enough and continue with rhythm enough as to before it has dropped too far below the level that it's dropping from, right? Now, you would imagine that if you're working with two people, that if it's that close to do all of that, then you should be able to throw the ladder up to the next person that's up there. But that's if that nigga's sitting around waiting for you to get to the, you know what I mean? To find the ladder that didn't fail, or whatever the fuck. It's a miracle we even seen that the ladder was falling. The fact that we even thought to run up the ladder, we seen it falling. Right? The ladder would have been falling and we wouldn't even have noticed it. We'd have been on this level chilling, not even knowing there was no other levels. But if it wasn't for that ladder falling, we wouldn't ever went up the ladder to see that it was another level. But there's more levels, cuz. That we need that ladder for, cuz. We don't even really need the ladder at all. Right? We don't even need a ladder. You feel me? We're supposed to be able to just work together to where we can climb up each other. You know what I'm saying? Like crabs in a bucket. You know what I'm saying? That's how we're supposed to be doing it. We are each other's ladder. Right? However, without that ladder falling, we wouldn't even realize there was other levels. However, we deep down know it, and tapping into that deep down knowledge or a realization will make it to where now we remember the full structural layout of this fucking complex that we're climbing in. Right? We climbing up to the next level. Me, I'm up and down the ladder because I already know deep down that nigga, my niggas is with me. Feel me? My niggas is with me. We finna climb up each other if we need to. Fuck it. Shit. And wherever we at, that's where we supposed to been at, and we ain't gonna be there as long as we want to be there. Okay? Because we can do whatever the fuck we want to do. Just like you can do what the fuck you want to do. The only difference between me and you is I ain't got shit to say about what you doing. I ain't trying to control you to do shit either. And that makes it to where I have more time, more focus, a little bit more fucking freedom to where I can realize and remember the layout to this structure for us. You understand? Right? Because we got to get up to this top level, right? And you know what I'm saying? The conventional way, the common way would be, okay, make sure we catch that ladder, right? I'm taking this ladder with me because shit, you have to be sure of things and you got to protect your interests. So you're going to take this ladder with you because if you needed this ladder to get to this level, if we have this one level, then it could be possible. And what's funny is niggas really think like that, which is good, right? It's called some type of thinking. It's called it's a word for it. It's a word for that type of thinking. It's basically, you know, fucking conservative thinking. It's a type of thinking. It's like you know, you're making sure of shit. You know what I mean? You're protecting your interests. It's a word for it. I wish I had actually learned the term. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not familiar with that term. That's what type of thinking that is. Me, I'll be thinking like that automatically. However, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's going to become apparent to you. You have to be receptive to nuances, right? The only thing about when you think like that is you're going to miss one thing. And it takes you sacrificing being able to capture that one thing that you need to not miss. You're taking the risk of missing the one thing that you needed to notice. However, there's other things that you can stand to not notice in the respects and in the interest of making sure of enough of what you can do to make whatever work. But sometimes, and for the most part, it doesn't always work to the fullest capacity, right? You know what I mean? Because it's like you looking out for yourself. Even if that means whoever else is connected to you, or your plan is to be able to help where you can, but you know that you have to put your mask on first before you can put anybody else's mask on, oxygen mask on. And so, you know, you have to fill your cup up before you can fill anybody else's cup up. But like I always tell you, you can always just drink straight from the stream too. And that's what I'm saying to you. While you making sure your cup is filling up, you gotta wait for that shit to finish filling up when you can be on your way to the stream. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you gotta have your niggas with you on that next level in order to climb their bodies in order to get to the other level. If you don't take that ladder with you. Right? And even if once you get up there, you up there alone. Right?
So, main thing is hopping up that bitch to begin with, to go up the joint, right? You don't even gotta really climb the ladder, bro. You can start from the bottom and climb up each other, bro, to get to whatever level you at, right? Once you realize that the level is there. However, it is for us to signaturize these formulas of climbing and steps of knowledge personally, you know what I mean? To where we don't have to have everybody else involved with what we're doing, you know, and wherever else anyone else is involved, then we also have that option, you know what I'm saying? Also, you take the ladder with you, right? That would be the smart thing to do. Me, like I was going to say to you, a nigga like me would be dumb. I'm sitting here, you know what I mean? Just, you know, fucking astounded, just, you know what I mean? Just fucking enthralled with the whole little process of me coming up the ladder and then wanting to get up there before it drop and shit. Once I see that it's dropping, or as a homie told me that it's dropping, because it's always one or two homies, you know, in the vicinity, regardless, for whatever reason. And I ain't got up the joint. By the time I'm coming down, he going up it. You know what I mean? Because we just stay moving like that. And then it's like, wow, the shit's still falling though. We don't even realize it's falling until probably the fifth time. That's just us though. You know what I mean? It's as far as knowledge, you know what I mean? It's, you know what I mean? It's like when you're a truth seeker, when, you know, wisdom is your food, when wisdom is, you know, what sets your plate, sets your table, you can't even eat without setting your table. You know what I mean? We could try to indulge in these different, we can indulge on the menu, but we got to set the table first. You know what I mean? We got, you know what I mean? And wisdom is that. And we got that. That's already been. You know what I mean? The wisdom came before knowledge. Bro. Wisdom came before knowledge. Okay? Because knowledge is to know. Wisdom is not to deny. Right? Right? Wisdom is to know without knowing that you know. Right? Wisdom isn't that you can say, I am wise, so I will tell you the answer. No, you just are telling me the answer, nigga, because you're wise. Just like I'm saying all of what I'm saying to you, and these are answers, is because, of course, I'm a wise guy. Right? So, being a wise guy, I'm up that ladder. We up this ladder. Fuck this ladder. We just trying to figure out what the fuck the ladder there for. Anyway, shit. No, it's just for us to get, you know what I mean? Get crafty, nigga. For us to get, you know what I mean? Hella active, basically. It's for us to get active with this ladder, bruh. We don't need this ladder, nigga. But if, you know what I mean, my niggas is not around for whatever reason, then we can't climb up each other, right? So I guess that's another reason why the ladder should be there, right? So we take the ladder with us because we think it's smart. You feel me? A nigga like me, I'm not even gonna think to take the ladder with me. I'm gonna let the shit fall, because if it's falling, I need to figure out what would happen if it fell. Right? We can always take the ladder with us, but then once it falls, we don't even know what the fuck to do. So beforehand, we didn't realize that we can climb up each other's bodies, because a nigga like me is I trust in natural order. Right? It's a fluke. It's a chance that I can make it up the joint before it falls all the way down. But that's possible to do. It's also possible to watch that shit fall down and then figure out what we're going to do once it's falling. It's also possible to have the instinct or the impulse to run up the shit, but then since you ain't never done it and you're scared that you may not make it or you might fall like it, then you don't ever even move quick enough. And by the time you even decide what you would do, you can't even make that decision no more. Right? Now, I got that lighter in my hand while I'm touching on this next ledge, or it's on my foot. I can hook it with my foot and bring it up with me. But why would I do all of that? Well, because I done came up the ladder before is the only reason it would be the only reason why I would do that. You understand me? Right? So as to take it with me to get to the next level, if there is one level and that's possible, then it could be possible that there's another level that I need a ladder for. If I needed this ladder for this, which I don't necessarily need that, but I don't necessarily know that because it's all an instant sort of just chance sort of You know what I mean? Improvisational, instinct, sort of reflex that I didn't even run up this ladder, yeah? Super quicker than I even needed to, you feel me? To get back down it and back up it, to make the decision if I'm gonna let it fall or not. And still let that shit fall. Right? Because it's falling, and it's falling for a reason. Is it for me to catch it or not? I don't know. But if I catch it, then I won't never know. That's the risk I gotta take, because I started off on the level I was on. And if it's meant for me to get on any other level, I'm gonna get there regardless. I just gotta keep doing what the fuck it is I'm doing, right? Next time, am I gonna take the ladder with me? Well, that's the whole point I'm getting to, right? Say, for instance, I take the ladder with me, yeah. It comes in handy. I'm actually able to, reach it down and have another nigga reach up to it to where we can use the ladder. Ain't gotta climb up each other, but ain't enough niggas to climb up each other. You feel me? We can use the ladder, and then I can take more niggas with me and the ladder. Feel me? If I catch it, I can always have that option too. Right? Like I'm saying, like if it's falling and there's another niggas on the bottom level, then they can always reach if we can do all that, then they can always reach the ladder up to me after it's falling. But that's if it's other niggas around. I would have to wait till niggas come around and be stuck there on that top level, not exploring the rest of the level away from the edge of that level. You understand? Otherwise, if a nigga's right next to me, I'm gonna think to catch the ladder before I jump up the shit. Right? That's all I'm saying. Right? Right? Or not, because it just happened like out of nowhere. So it's like, okay, whoop-de-wop. I go up the shit, and by the time one of us got up there, so it's like, okay, whatever. Now we could try to figure out how to climb each other, but that's if it's enough of us at the time. Right? And if not, then that's just more waiting we would have to do for any one of us that didn't come up the ladder, if I don't catch the ladder, to get up that bitch. Right? If I catch the ladder, then if it could be one or two people that we wouldn't be able to climb each other to get up, they can come up and I can reach the ladder to them, if it could reach. It's a special type of falling, though, to where even if you get up there, the nigga on the bottom ain't gonna be able to reach through you leaning it down. All right? We can try. And through trying, we probably can figure out that if you climb, and the two niggas climb, or, the two niggas climb one nigga, it's like, three niggas is three. Now you tall as three niggas, then you can reach with the ladder. And that's how we even know that we can climb each other. For any time somebody don't think to grab that ladder. And that's in our DNA. Right? But it take us focusing on that and be able to let that come to us, as opposed to trying to make sure so whatever the shit, and missing and taking the risk of missing the very thing that we need to notice. Yes? So either way, I'll take the ladder with me because I'm a businessman. You know what I'm saying? And I need to protect my family from threats. You know what I'm saying? So I'll take the ladder with me. So I can so I can achieve. So that I can make sure that I'm going to achieve. Even though I wouldn't have been born on earth except to do nothing but flourish. Otherwise, if it wasn't for somebody else trying to interfere with that. But I'm going to take this ladder for now. And keep this ladder with me. Cause I might need it and shit. So I keep it with me. Cause I make sure I keep it, I pocket in a section of my brain ready for whatever might happen that, could be a danger to me. So I make sure I grab this ladder. I come up to the next ledge. I climb up that 13-step ladder. This time I take my time because the next ledge is close enough for me to reach. Luckily. From the ground. You know what I mean? And that was a miracle because it could have been just like that first ledge and I couldn't even be able to do it for myself. So that would have even defeated the purpose for me to think to grab the ladder to begin with. But it's always good to, just in case. It ain't gonna hurt you to grab the ladder. It may. But you don't know that, That's something you gotta find out. You up there, you on that level. You grab the ladder, you got it with you.
You get to the next level, oh my goodness, you can get on the levels are closer and closer, but you still need a ladder for them though. But every time you go up it, your ladder is long enough. And then eventually you don't even need the ladder no more. You can just step up on the top level because it's close as the first step of the ladder would be. You know what I'm saying? Then what? Then what? Then what is the question, right? Like, what are we doing? Where are we going? Where are we climbing to, right? Well, you get to the top level, right? You get to the top ledge, yes? And through all of this knowledge that you've been reclimbing, because every time you climb the steps of knowledge, you're getting to another level. You're starting from another level, right? And so you're able to get farther faster. You know what I'm saying? To where you don't even need the knowledge no more. You have the wisdom once you get to the top, right? It's what happens. You know what I mean? You get to the wisdom. And the wisdom is all knowing, you know what I'm saying? To where now you're able to realize whatever it would take to get for everybody to be where you're at. Yeah. For everybody to get where you are, whatever that may mean for them. You know? You can call everyone, you can call everyone there. Telepathically. You can, even if it's not telepathically, your own thoughts in itself now create vibrations that inspire other vibrations that then affect the ripple of existence because of the propensity, because of the frequency that these vibrations are, these thought vibrations, these thought waves, these literal brain waves, from focusing universally and centering yourself, right? Because not only are you at the top, you're in the center, right? As you're progressing, you are now centralizing and optimizing. You're right there in the center, the core, right, of everything. And you can even maybe just start singing or some shit. You know, you can start singing, and through your very brain waves and vibrations of your voice, the frequencies then affect all other life and light, because life and light is nothing but vibration to begin with. And everything just falls in place, and people are able to notice different things that they wouldn't have not noticed if you had not got to that point and just start singing. You know? Because that's what you would do anyway, because, you know, that's the top level, the bliss. You're in a blissful state, and that's what singing is. It's celebration. It's the appreciation of truth. Appreciation of truth. The appreciation, I mean, like, if you saying some shit, if you singing it, if it's so truthful, you sing this shit. It's so solid in truth. It's set in truth. You sing it and not even just say it. You're celebrating the fact of it, right? Even, I mean, think about what you do. Any song you're going to hear. If it's singing, if you lying in the song, the song itself is not, that's not the, you feel me? That's not the way it's received. It's not, it's like, this is interesting. This is interesting. You singing it, it's like, it's got to be appealing for it to even be melodic, for it to even be harmonious. It's got to be appealing to the ear, right? To begin with. And like, you hear how it's sung before you even hear what it is that the person's saying, for one. And even once you realize what a person is saying, it's going to have to be at least acceptable enough outside of it making any statement that would be so untrue as to, besides the person that's saying it. You're not thinking about the person that's saying it, but whatever the person is saying, does it have truth in it? Like, does it have meaning to it? Right? You could be saying, I fucked a nigga bitch. I stole a nigga cash. I fucked a nigga bitch. I stole a nigga cash. Now, what you're singing about is being cool, right?
What you're singing about is sexuality and, you know, pleasure. You're singing about a woman being pleased how she would prefer to be pleased. You're singing about, you know what I'm saying, having enough ingenuity to be able to benefit from a choice that you made by robbing a nigga. Right? That's what you're singing about. You're not singing about that I'm lying about this and this never even really happened and I don't even like women, which may even be the case about the person singing the shit, right? Let alone, I mean, is a nigga singing it in a way that you would like, that is appealing to your ear? I would hope, right? I would hope it sounds good to you if you even listen to the shit. If you're listening to it because you could say, oh, see, this is another nigga just talking bullshit and niggas ain't shit, so this is proof and that makes me feel good. I'm gonna just listen to this because I want to be able to refer to it when I'm talking about niggas ain't shit and how they can't do nothing but not be shit, then for sure. I mean, you know what I mean? That's, you know what I mean? I'm already, you know what I mean? My fucking heart is already tainted and fucking already, you know what I'm saying? Corrupted anyway, to where it's like, you know what I mean? I'm involving myself with just, you know, fucking malicious as well as frivolous pursuits, to where it's like I got time to even make sure that I remember, you know what I mean, an interjection to make, a comment to make about how niggas ain't shit. And so this is the latest, you know, expose of proving my argument that niggas ain't shit. See, all you care about is fucking bitches and stealing money, right? Which I wish I could fuck a bitch and steal some money, but that's not the focus. I'm a hater, so I'm gonna talk about how that's wrong and how they like it so much instead of figuring out what it is that I would love to sing about and singing about that. I don't really sing, so why I got any criticism for a singer, I don't know, but maybe it has to do with social sort of context, but that's the whole problem with business and art.